And we're live.
Well, everybody, welcome back. It's Thursday night, so you know what time it is. It's PM in the PM. It's Pong and Mav in the PM. That's right, back again. Another episode. Hope everybody's doing well. Been slow as far as the news week goes, man. We were ramping up there. We had Christmas after Christmas. We had a ton of news going on. This week's been a little bit more in line with kind of that summer slowdown after TGS and that kind of stuff too. So that's okay. We got stuff to talk about still, and Mav's going to carry the show because Mav's been playing a ton of freaking games, whereas I have not been able to play as many games, although I still have some things to talk about. Of course, I do, but we're going to get into that. But happy Shattered Space launch week once again, drumming up the Starfield conversations. God almighty, God help us all. It's absolutely incredible, man. So shocking. Disappointed people with Starfield are still disappointed. I don't know. I mean, it would have been great had they changed their minds, but they're not going to change their minds. So it is what it is. Those of us that still love it, still love it. And I haven't jumped into Shattered Space yet, so we're going to talk about that. But Mav has, so I'm definitely going to get him. He's been sharing screenshots, which is freaking awesome. I love people who share their gameplay. But I don't know what you all been enjoying, but we got a boatload of freaking games right now. Too many for me right now. So, but yeah, man, thank you all for joining. And speaking of my co-host, this man over here, he has been getting in a lot of game playing lately. So I am super jealous of him right now, but he has been enjoying himself, and I can't wait to hear about all of this game playing he's been doing. But we also got to find out how he's just doing in general, because this is when him and I catch up during the week. So, Fun Speculation, aka Mav, the CEO of the Fun Speculation Network. How the hell are you, brother? And talk to me, man. Talk to me. What's been going on? I got to live vicariously through you right now. So go.
Been doing fantastic, Pong. I've been playing some games and just regular work life stuff and everything, but yeah, I have been able to get some more gaming in lately, so it's been absolutely awesome. There's been some surprises for me, mainly, and what I've been addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but Aura History Untold is like, it's a special game for me so far. It really is. Like, I didn't anticipate it being that addicting to me, or that something that I would kind of just forget about everything else and just like get lost in the game, right? And there's games that come along sometimes and they kind of surprise you. I was excited to try Aura, because it's a strategy game, and I wanted to give this kind of a new take on 4X and some of the new ideas that they had a chance, because I'm not a really big 4X guy. I'm usually more of a, Command and Conquer
RTS.
style. Our traditional RTS games, StarCraft style, right? Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 was a huge one for me. Supreme Commander back in the day. Games like that, right? But I have dabbled in some 4X before and played some grander strategy games. I also love tactics games as well. Mm-hmm. But this one, like Aura History Untold, man, it's something clicked with me, right? Early on, when I was learning, I was like trying to figure stuff out more. I was like, okay, how is this gonna play out? And then these situations keep happening, and they keep grabbing you, and they keep popping up, and you have to make all these decisions, and then you start micromanaging all these different buildings and all these different things, and it's like you look at the clock and it's like, holy shit, 5 hours went by. I didn't even know where did that time go, right? Like, Kate actually was coming up here the other day to check and make sure I was okay, because she hadn't heard from me in so damn long. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just lost track of time. I literally did. I absolutely just felt like an hour went by, but it was 4, and it's that kind of game. You just keep doing one more turn, then one more turn. It's like, oh, but then some situation happens and you get engulfed in a war, and it's like, oh, I gotta really handle all this. Oh my God, now there's a skirmish happening with another country on the other side. It's like, it's just so dynamic, right? and the way that they're doing it, like I'm on turn 300 something, you know.
Okay. Yep.
And the way that they're doing it, it just keeps evolving and evolving. I thought I screwed up because I decided to go to war with China, like for fun, because I was behind, and I was like, I gotta do something drastic to make sure I don't get left behind. So I started a war with China just because. But then it actually had a huge negative effect immediately by starting the war.
You take the hit up front.
So I was like, oh my God, I made a mistake. I went even
you
further
didn't
behind.
Read, Mav. You didn't read. It tells you it's going to be a huge negative.
Right. And then what happened was, thank God I've been playing nice with England and Italy because they kind of had my back and an alliance with me and stuff. And we ended up kind of battling a little bit. I ended up seizing one of their cities and stuff and taking control. And but yeah, just overall things kept happening. I kept evolving, and then ended up catapulting back. I'm in good standing right now. I'm gonna make it to the next era, the next act or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
So and that's kind of where I left it. But yeah, the time melts away in that game like few games that I can think of, right? And I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. So there's that. Age of Mythology Retold is still playing. I'm still playing my sports games a little bit, NBA and Madden. Dude, I reinstalled Battlefield. I did a couple matches of Battlefield the other day. There's so much, man. Like I did the Metaphor demo, which is absolutely incredible. No, I didn't finish it. I played like maybe an hour and a half or so. I wanted to get through the opening story kind of stuff and really understand what the story in the world is, and then get to the city, have some combat and all these kind of things. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I was hoping it would be. Like exactly, like the storytelling, the anime, everything about it is just awesome, right? It's so different, but it takes the stuff that I didn't like from the Persona games away and adds more of what I do like, right? So it's just, man, that game could end up being one of my Game of the Year contenders. Then there's still Space Marine 2. I'll hop in and play another mission of that, dude. And they added a big update, which added the ultra wide support on there, which makes it even more glorious. Yeah, gaming is so good right now. Oh, and then there's that. Yeah, and I didn't even mention that one. Yeah, and the Shattered Space. Yeah, I've been playing that too. Shattered Space, and
you've been playing on PC or Xbox?
I've been playing it on PC. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to play it with ultra wide and the whole thing and the whole shebang and like kind of see it all.
I just want to know if you had seen any of the performance issues. Obviously, they're out there, so I mean, people are posting videos, and I've seen it, so I know it's legit. I just want to see how bad overall it was.
I saw
very specific.
I saw Kate playing on Series X in the bedroom, and I noticed a little bit of chug here and there on the space station.
Okay.
So I don't know if that continues after that or not. I'm not 100% on that, but that space station was pretty crazy. So I don't know. I think she was playing in performance mode, but I'm not 100%. So I mean, they definitely got some work to do on that stuff. I know that some people also have had problems with their PC version not actually showing up that they have the DLC. Working. So that's an issue. They definitely got some things to work on. Luckily for me, I've had zero issues with it whatsoever.
And how are you enjoying it?
It's awesome, man. I'm taking my time with it though. I'm not rushing through it because that's not how I play Bethesda games, right? I'm not trying to make a race to tell people I finished it or to be able to get some kind of a score out or anything like that. I'm just enjoying the game. Like I think Bethesda games are made to be enjoyed, right? And that's been awesome. I'll stop and kind of explore a certain area, like, oh, what's that over there? And I want to go over there and check it out. And then I was like, oh, wow, this looks amazing. I got to take a picture over here. Oh, let's go see what's in this area. Oh, that's cool. Like, it's a whole new, like, huge area and handcrafted environments and on this new planet, and it's different atmosphere than anywhere else. It's absolutely amazing, dude. The story so far in Shattered Space is absolutely awesome as well. Like the whole intro thing with the space station, I love that. I love where this like the mystery of it and trying to figure out what's happening, you know. And I screwed up because I had just beat Starfield, right? I had finally done my finished playthrough of it, and I played it a little bit since then, but I haven't really done too much. And so I went into this really without hardly anything, any
Right.
equipment or anything, and the enemies actually pack a much bigger punch, right?
Okay. I saw that. I saw Bethesda making posts about that when people were talking about it too, that you're going to need some better equipment for this one because it definitely ramps up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was dying like pretty easily, you know, but I had, you know, a good suit on and stuff because I had my beat the game suit or whatever, you know, but I didn't have great weapons and stuff. I mean, I had decent ones, but I was finding new ones also, which I really like. The new weapons. The new weapons are awesome, actually. Really enjoying those. And yeah, that whole opening thing was awesome. I explored all the nooks and crannies of that ship at the space station. Then it opens up to the rest of it. I don't want to give spoilers, but people they've shown the trailers a whole lot about you go to this planet, the Varun planet, Varun Kai or Varun Dai. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But you get there, you kind of find out what's happening, and then you take a quest, and then that quest ends up splintering off into like interesting decisions you have to make, and it's kind of like political slash like what are your morals, where do you stand on certain things, what are your views, and like it makes you kind of like make decisions based on different things, right? And there could be, you don't know what the right or the wrong decision is. It's up to you. I don't know what happens after that, but it's a typical branching storylines. And the first one of those I accepted, I was immediately hit with somebody that's like, hey, let me talk to you real quick, you know, let me tell you what's really going on. You know,
right.
Let me tell you what's really happening here. You need to get rid of everyone. It's like what?
Whoa.
Like what? What's going on? Like,
right.
So it's like, well, do I do that? What sounds fun? It sounds really fun, but maybe it's not the right thing. I don't know. So anyway, there's just like, it's more Starfield, man.
Yeah.
And
which is good.
For me, it's great. You know, for me, it's fantastic. Like, and you know, I don't know how long it's gonna take me to play through it. It's gonna always be there. So it's a place I'll always return to. So it's not something I ever even feel like is just like, hey, this is only gonna be a few hours worth of stuff, and then it's just gonna be gone. This is something that's always gonna be part of the experience now going forward. So I don't know when or how much of the story of it I'm gonna play through all at once or what, but enjoying the hell out of it so far.
That's awesome. To go back to Metaphor real quick too, we'll just drop this in here. I don't know if anybody saw, but of course Famitsu, the famous Japanese magazine for video games over there, who are famous for the reviews. If you guys didn't grow up back in the day before we had access really to social media and internet, like when you heard about the Famitsu scores, it was like a big deal, right? When something came out of Japan, it was like, oh, Famitsu gave this, because they still do their ratings. They get four reviews scores, and they're out of 10s, right? So 40 out of 40 is obviously a perfect score. And whenever you saw games in the high 30s or 40, it was something like, whoa, from Famitsu, from Japan? Okay, this has got to be good. Famitsu's still around. They're still doing their thing, and they scored Metaphor this week, and they gave it a 37 out of 40.
Yeah.
So massive score. They also confirmed that it is 80 hours for the main story and 100 hours with the side content, right around 100 hours. So obviously, depending on how do you play,
yeah,
that
that's
means
probably
for me,
if you
it's
just
probably a 200-hour game for me.
Right,
so
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is as big as the personas are, and so yeah, but it's got first real review. I don't think we've gotten any over here. I don't know when the embargoes lift here, but that started off this week for Metaphor. And again, I did not get a chance to jump back in this week. Two metaphor because I got to have a chunk of time in order to do it. So I didn't. The same reason why I didn't jump back into Starfield again, because I know once I jump back into Starfield, it's over with. Everything else is going to disappear. And right now I have too much to enjoy. So I didn't get to do that either. So I am holding off on that for right now. But I did play a lot of Aura this week. For the couple hours I have each night, I am now up to just about 13 hours in Aura. Again, Nate Dogg, I saw you in the chat. You don't know how people play Civ because those games take all damn day. Bro, they take longer than days sometimes. It just depends how it goes. But Mav, you're still playing basically the tutorial, right? The first game that you start
so
out, right?
if you call it,
it is.
It says at the top, like, and I get rid of it a lot. It says like, continue playing to continue the tutorial or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know when that'll ever go away, because like I've done everything they've asked, but like it's just an ongoing forever type.
And
thing,
I think you're at 16 hours, right? So
something like that.
Something like that. I think I saw your gameplay at 16 hours because you've got one more achievement than I do right now. But I'm still on that too. I am about 200 turns in. You said you were a little over 300. I'm 200 turns in at 13 hours. So yeah, Nate, again, this is how you play these games. Like, these games can be short depending on the style, but this opening game that they put together for you in Aura, which is it is a full game, right? It's not, they throw in the tutorials during it, but you get to pick your starting leader. You get to do all that kind of stuff. It can go a lot of different, it can go any which way, just like a normal game can. And I think, Mav, how many opponents? 8 opponents or 10 opponents, I think. Something like that. 8 or 10 total. I can't remember what it is. Including your suit. Something like that. Maybe it's 12. God damn, I don't remember anymore. Anyways, 200 turns in, like Mav, and now I've played more 4X than Mav has, right? I think, Mav, you didn't say it, but you played some Civ back in the day too, so you were actually
Civ 4 right? Specifically. I played a lot of back in the day.
Yeah, so you do have a pretty good experience because Civ is obviously the biggest, most well-known 4X. But I played a lot more, right? I played Age of Wonders 4 2 years ago when I told you about that. I still have it downloaded. In fact, they're still updating that game. They just came out with another new expansion. Like, I want to jump back into that. I played a lot of 4X strategy in my life. I love 4X strategy. I think it's freaking dope. I played a lot of Civ. Older Civs, for sure. And so this, for me, is home. I jumped into it, although I did start this way because I needed to learn, because they've done things differently. Oxide Games has done things a little bit differently here. It still plays, generally speaking, like the first one, but my God, the crafting and controlling your cities. Now, I read all the reviews, and some people hated it. Some people really thought it was too complex. Some people said it didn't make sense for some of the stuff, and I understand a little bit what people are saying, but overall, like, generally speaking, it's not that bad if you're paying attention. Like, you do have to watch certain things, especially if you're trying to build something. Food production, I will say, is on the stingy ass side in this freaking game, bro. Yo, I've played some, like, again, there are 4X strategy games that are very hard in different ways. They have different complexities depending on the type of game and the style that they go for. Food is one of the main problems in 4X strategy games, but generally speaking, in most 4X strategy games, and I knew this going in, if you overemphasize building up food supply, farms, you give them upgrades to those farms, build out the fisheries. I've got the fishers out fishing, right? I specifically grabbed oceanfront property for that reason, got my fisheries going. Generally speaking, if you invest early on into those things, it eventually catches up, and then you have a nice surplus even when your cities grow or when you expand out a new city. Generally, that's how most 4X games go. Not this. Yo, I've been on the tipping point, like, over and I'm upgrading my freaking farms. Like, I am spending massive amounts of resources. Like, I purposely didn't move up to the next era because I needed to make sure I got irrigation farms, right, to produce
Yeah.
more. So I spent extra time in one of the eras just to make sure I was getting the upgrades I needed for my farms. Like I'm literally focused on food. And I go from being like plus 30 food every turn, and I'll build up a surplus into maybe like a 1.5K surplus of food. And then next thing I know, within about 10 turns, 15 turns, I'm down to like -2. And then all of a sudden I'll expand a city, it'll be -9. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
what is going on? And my surplus starts running down. Oh, I'm like, oh my
You've
God.
been doing
So,
the amenities to give the boost on the food.
yes.
And then you
Yes,
do
of
that
course.
too, but then they run out, and so
They
you got
run out, bro. So that's the thing that's
Yeah.
now, Mab, I did finally get in the era, I did get the upgrade for food preservation. So I am working on that because
Yeah.
that is supposed to help you as well, right? So I'm going to start
Eh.
using those amenities. So I am, but that's like the main thing that I've been like, this is tough, man. Like
Yeah.
I've been like,
It
wow.
seems like for me so far, it's like a constant
Yeah.
race with food, and that's like
Yes. Yes.
pretty much like because if you don't get enough food supply, then your city won't grow, right? So
Yes. Right.
and it won't grow, so you can't expand upon it, and then get
Correct.
more food. So
Yep.
you're kind of in this like stuck situation trying to figure things out. And like I've been able to manage it so far and make it work, but that's been the biggest learning thing for me
Yeah.
is how to maintain the supplies. Everything else is like great,
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Again, you can get complex in it. There is some things that certainly I know what people are talking about in the reviews with how some of the products that you produce and getting the other thing, the next thing I'm trying to work on, Mav, is getting my happiness up in my cities too,
Yeah.
which is based upon the products that you produce and the excess products you produce too. So better clothes, furnishings for your houses, etc. So that's the other thing. And some of that stuff does get a little deep when you start looking at it, because it's like, how am I going to space out my crafting? Because you only have so many workshops, right? You can only have so many pottery farms. Like you could only do with the available land. Like that's part of the strategy. Is like, what do you want to focus on? So do you run your cities at kind of an unhappy state for a long time and let them suffer a little bit while you build up military and while you focus on making sure you got enough food, or do you sacrifice somewhere else? So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah,
I went to war right
stopped
away.
I stopped doing military because those fuckers got to eat.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I am not, because I know how this is gonna go. I'm in the lead right now, by the way, Matt. So I'm number one.
I'm
right?
not. I'm
Oh
definitely.
yeah, no, I got that. We locked. We locked in. Like
Yeah.
everybody else is fighting down below, and this is the cool part, Matt. So right above me is Julius Caesar.
Oh, okay.
Okay, off to the left, north left, I am friends with, I forget, one of the princesses of China. So she's up in my upper right. I'm friends with her. We've been trading back and forth. Trade is freaking amazing too, by the way. Trade works very well in this game. Trade sometimes can be annoying. This one, if you set it up so that you have merchants available, you can go in and select what items are going to be traded to you. So I needed for my army horses and elephants, right? And I didn't have any in my lands that I could get, right? I couldn't get any farms that would have horses. I got llamas, I got pigs, I got cow, I got everything else, but no horses or elephants. But I opened up trade with England and with China and got horses and elephants. So now I've got war elephants, Mav, and I got chariots ready to rock and roll, which is dope. So anyways, Julius Caesar right above me, he started a war with the Princess of China, and I was going to help her. But then she didn't request my help, and I was just going to go attack him. And I thought about it, but then I saw where he was at the list of scores. He's out in about 8 turns, and I got all of his land direct north of me, Mav. So I am in the perfect position to go take over all of his land. So now I've got 2 settlers building right now, because I'm going to be ready to go expand and grab some cities up north as soon as he's out of the game. Added layer of strategy. Aura is fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. The sound effects, everything, the little details in it are fantastic. I don't know why some of the reviewers said that the graphics weren't great. I have no idea. It's beautiful. And again, I know I'm running a way above average PC. It's a strategy game. It's a 4X strategy game. But my God, watching the wildlife and all that kind of stuff, and you can even watch the battles. You can even watch your armies battle, which in 4X strategy doesn't usually happen. It kind of uses like a skirmish thing and it resolves itself, and that's it. You get the resolve screen. Here, you get the resolve screen, but if you actually want to watch a little battle happen, you can. It's stupid. It's not like anything great, but it's an added thing that they threw in there that I like. Aura is awesome. Oxide Games did a fantastic job. Yep, it is a time sink through and through. The next thing you know, again, when I sit down and I've only got a couple hours at night before I got to go to bed, like it's over in a blink. Like I've gotten maybe 10, 12 turns done, depending on how complex it is or where I'm at and what I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. But it is a beautiful, beautiful game. It's pulled me away from Frostpunk 2. For the time being, I'm going to go back to Frostpunk 2 because I love what 11-Bit Studios did there a lot, and I can't wait to jump back into that. But again, strategy games, trying to have a lot of strategy games at one time, especially with, of course, Age of Mythology Retold also out there, is really tough to do because, again, there's just not enough time in a day. The last one I'll bring up, and I see Steel in the chat. What's up, brother? I see you. And I know he's playing 2 right now. Everybody, Kill Knight is worth the $15 by far. This is going to have people conversating about Indie Game of the Year. This is going to be up for some awards. Kill Knight, if you like shmups, shoot 'em ups, okay? This is a character-based shoot 'em up. They don't shy away from this. This is not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. I was trying to beat Steel's score last night. Ridiculous, by the way, Steel, for you just jumping into the game and all of a sudden posting the score that you did, man. This game has also layers to it. You have to go through the tutorial. But if anybody doesn't know what Kill Knight is, go look at it. It is out on everything right now. So it's out on PC, it's out on Xbox, it's out on PlayStation. I think it's even on Switch. This game is fast. It is ridiculously cool. The upgrades that you can do, the different weapons that you get, both secondary, melee, and main weapons, all have different techniques and uses. There's the dodge button, which is you got to use a lot. You're trapped in these small, contained areas with a whole lot of bugs after you. Okay? And some of them shoot things, some of them just chase you down. But it's all about score. And it's all about building up skill streaks, score streaks. It is freaking awesome. So $15, worth the price of admission if you like shmups at all and you want to try something very unique in that space that is very challenging. Go get Kill Knight. This game is getting massive scores right now. People are being blown away by this game. The developers are super dope. I watched a developer playthrough the other night with an interviewer while they were playing, and they all just were passing the controller off. Super cool guys. Very passionate about this game. They obviously poured their heart into it, took their time with it. It's got a great old school aesthetic to it, but it's not like 8-bit. But it's old school aesthetic. Think more Genesis, but with higher definition to it. It is just an awesome, awesome game. Go check out Kill Knight, please. I can't wait to jump more into this. This is one of those games where you pop in for as long as you can. And if you die right away, you just want to get out, great, just get out. That's fine. If you want to go back in for another run, go back in for another run. But Kill Knight, check it out. Just came out this week, so I will definitely be. I got to chase down Steel. So the closest I got was like 150,000 points to his score. So I got to get back in there and try to get it. But yeah, Oates said I got Kill Knights. Yeah, it's sweet. Yeah, it is. It really is. And again, it's one of those cheap games, indie game, $15. And again, it's not something that's going to be a time sink. It's one of those palate cleansers. Again, just in and out games if you really want it to be. You could sit there for hours and hours if you want to, but otherwise, you're going to die. And you're going to die a lot. But it's fun. It's shmup. It's freaking great, man. So, oh, God, it's so good, Mav. It's just such a great time to be a gamer, man.
Oh, man.
Fucking unbelievable. I don't know how anybody out here is complaining about what we're getting and it's so sad to me that some people are stuck in this. It's got to be AAA $400 million project, otherwise I'm not even going to look at it. And for those people, I understand. Like you might think that we go through a lot of dry phases, and maybe gaming just isn't giving you everything you need. But for those of us that are just gamers through and through and like all these different types of experiences, this is just nonstop, man. This you could find a game everywhere right now. You could find when you find one, you get to find about 10. You find about 15 games where you go, holy shit, I want to go play that too right now. Let's go do this. Like it's just such a special time to be a gamer, man. I can't believe it. It is the golden age, man.
Yeah.
It is.
I have Kill Knight on my wish list, and it's something I've been like I want to get it really bad. I've been playing so many damn games, but like it's one that it had always stood out to me every time we see it, right? Yep. So I'm gonna get it for sure at some point. I saw it is ridiculously low price for how awesome it looks as well.
Yes.
So I'm probably gonna go ahead and end up getting it this weekend or something.
Yeah, I mean, again, at $15, support the indie dev. I mean, again, I love these. I can't say enough about it. Just from the like hour I put into it, hour and 15 I put into it. Again, there's a lot to learn. I'm gonna go back through the tutorial because I forgot some of the moves because there's a lot of decisions to make, and what you kill them with will determine what kind of power ups drop or what kind of ammo drop. So you got to be aware of that. You got these secondary weapons that are ultra powerful. Then you've got these ultimate weapons that you eventually power up if you collect enough of the crystals that pop out when they die. And then you can use this one thing, and that actually, when it kills enemies, makes them drop health crystals. So that's how you get your health back. Like there is so many layers of strategy to this game as well. It's just not a straight up shmup through and through. There's a lot to this game, and it's just one of those games where it's kind of easy to pick up, but it's gonna be one of those games that takes a long time to master and get through the levels. And this is on the one up from the normal level is where they start you at. But then there's like 3 or 4 levels more above that because the devs were laughing because the interviewer that they had on with them was like, and just so the audience knows, we're playing at night level, which is one below the hardest level. And the devs like, no, actually, I gotta correct you. It's not. And he's like, what do you mean it's not? And he's like, yeah, no. We're about 3 levels from the hardest. And the interviewer's like, excuse me? And they're like, yeah, no, we're not anywhere close to that. I'm sorry to say. And the guy's like, oh my God. So yeah, it's freaking unbelievable. But again, leaderboard is all up and running. It works great. Again, I kept getting a notification because obviously I picked it up on Steam. So my Steam friend list, whoever's on my Steam friend list, I kept getting a notification on every time I brought up the run again. Next closest, Steel Rain, 458,000 points. And I'm like, Jesus, every freaking time I'm like, I'm going to beat this fucker. Like I said, the closest I got, I think, was like just under 300,000. So it's just awesome, man. It's so much fun. So yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. Again, I got a lot to get into. I got to get back to Metaphor. I do want to play a ton of Metaphor. I've got to figure out when I'm going to jump back into Starfield. That's a scary thought right now.
Yeah,
because again, 300 plus hours. And I haven't touched anything,
man.
Vessel of Hatred. I did re-download Diablo map in preparation for that. Yeah. I also have to pre-order it, so I get the pre-order bonuses as well. So I will be pre-ordering Vessel of Hatred to get those bonuses. But I don't think I'm not gonna order the big boy package. I can't. To be real, I can't believe they're charging $82 for the ultimate version of a expansion.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I was looking. I'm like, there.
Does it come with like a lot of the like in-game currency?
It comes with the battle pass, and then it comes with the leap. It comes with the jump, right? Of course, you get the 20 levels free on the battle pass, right? Like they normally do. Yeah, you get cosmetics, right? You get a bunch of cosmetics. You get I want to say 3,000 of whatever. I forget what the currency is. You get 3,000 of that or whatever.
$30 worth or
no? Is it 30?
I forget how they
It's like 20. It might be 20 something. I think I looked at it because the bonuses kind of offset it. So I think it was like
Right.
$25 or something like that worth.
Right.
But
So
I
that's
was
why
like,
the price is jacking
yeah,
it
but I was
up.
like,
Yeah.
God damn, man. Like for an
Yeah.
expansion, like I'm like, yes,
How
I
much
know
is
it's
the
all
regular
optional.
price for it? Like
35.
35?
And they have a deluxe edition too in between.
Right.
So Diablo's they're Blizzard
Yeah,
monetizing.
man.
They're
They are.
monetizing it. So, but yeah. So I will be pre-ordering though because I do want the bonus. You get a pet and you get a mount as well for pre-ordering. So
I don't remember. Did it? If you bought a certain version of Diablo at launch, do you get this at all? Because I didn't remember if I
No,
had.
because I bought the ultimate upgrade. You don't. And that one came with the battle pass and shit, and it came with the currency.
Right.
Yeah. So no,
Okay.
no, it didn't come with the expansion.
Oh man.
I double checked just to make sure.
All right.
Oh yeah. Oh, you do get a month of Game Pass Ultimate, which is cool too. So if you buy it through Xbox, you get a month of Game Pass Ultimate thrown in there as well. So that's another $18.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What? That helps a little bit.
It helps a little bit. Yeah, I did forget about that. Thanks, host. I did see that because I do have it as a banner on there when you look at it. So free 1 month of Xbox Ultimate.
That's good if they continue doing that on their games. Yeah. I think that's a smart thing to do. Like, and for anybody that buys Call of Duty, that just buys it outright, give them a month of Call of Duty or Game Pass. Too. That because could you imagine the PC gamers as well? Like, why not try and offer that through Steam somehow? Like, give them a code still.
Be smart,
you know.
I think so. Yeah, Doom. Sorry, it is 40 normally, 35 with Game Pass. I'm thinking of Game Pass prices here. So yeah, the normal price for the Ultimate Expansion 2 is like $90, but you can get it for like 81 or whatever, with the 10% discount from Game Pass. So yeah, thanks Doom for correcting me. I just think in those terms because that's what I saw when I was looking it up on Xbox. Yeah. Other than that, that's about it, man. Otherwise, I've been playing some Warhammer 40K, Inquisitor, of course, still rocking that out. And I bought a bunch more games on super cheap on through key shops for PC that I haven't touched. They're just gonna sit there again. I rolled right into PCMR land, doing exactly what PCMRs joke about, which is just having a whole plethora of games that you never play that are just sitting back there because you buy them on sale. That's exactly what's happening. I can't pass up games for $3. I can't. I got Guardians of the Galaxy, man, for $3 on PC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, you know other game I tried?
What?
V Rising.
Sure. Oh yes. What'd you think, brother? Pretty good.
I was really loving it at first.
Okay.
Right until I got to the like building stuff, like where the survival elements come in. Huh? Well, it's like okay, doing the survival stuff, but I don't have an issue with that because that's the kind of game it is, right?
Yeah.
But before I got to that, I was like, this game's fucking awesome, right? Because it was more playing like a traditional at the time, like old school ARPG, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And then you get to that part, and it's like, okay, I really don't want to do this. You know, I just want to keep doing what I've been doing, you know?
If you see what people, when you build, it's not like simple building. Like you could build an entire Dracula castle. Like
right, and you meant to play also with people that all work together and build stuff. I need to play it with you.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah,
but so we can, because I'm like, okay, I went through and did a whole bunch of awesome combat stuff and learned all these new mechanics and all these things, and now I'm like, okay, where do I put the floor? You know, where do I put the walls? And which is like, that's kind of, I'm not trying to knock it for that, but it's just, I kind of wish that they also made a game that was just that, like a traditional ARPG, because like the mechanics, the gameplay,
so a no build like Fortnite.
Right, just
V Rising no build,
just like a traditional ARPG V Rising game like that. I would absolutely love that because it's awesome, man. I love the mechanics, the gameplay. It plays great with the controller too. So yeah. Anyway,
I got one more game too. I did forget too. I got one more game. So, and this is going to be PC only. So listen up, everybody. If you this game is it's hard to explain what it is. It's not, you know what? Here, hold on. I'll just go to the store page real quick. Hold on. I'm already in my library. That's why I remembered it, by the way, because I did put 5 hours into this. So I definitely should mention it. Okay. So, and I talked about it on Living Split Screen that I was going to play this. It's called Quasimorph. Okay, and this is a game that came out October of last year. It is take on a role of a hardened PMC fighter in a dark turn-based extraction RPG. Engage in unforgiving combat, manage your ship, and pile up the bodies of your clones to unravel a dark mystery behind a threat to all life. This is an early access game. It is still being supported. It has not been abandoned. There is no controller support. This is straight up keyboard and mouse, but again, it is turn-based, right? So it's, again, even if you're not a keyboard mouse guy, like I'm not, I can still play these because it's point and click to move your character around. It's very simple. This game is dope. Okay, this game is freaking cool as hell. It is old school graphics, right? But if you like hardcore RPG-ness, this is your type of game. This is my type of game. Like, this is like this is having to figure out, you can't carry everything. You can't hoard. You're going to have to drop things in the levels, and you're going to have to sacrifice things that you don't want to sacrifice weapon-wise. And you could bring them back to your ship, right? If you extract. If you complete the mission, you extract. And you get to keep everything that you took. And you can also bring about more clones with different classes, and you can bring those clones, to different missions depending on the missions. There is a galaxy map, and you get to choose which missions you want to run. There are path choices. There are consequences to your decisions. You can help people. You can screw people over. Like one of the first missions, I had to go in and get this data that had been stolen from a warlord or something, and we're going to return it to the warlord for a reward. Well, I could double cross him and take it elsewhere and sell it, but he would be my enemy, and the AI, the tutorial, said, this is the last piece of advice I'm going to give you this time around. Do not double cross this guy. So it almost makes me want to go double cross this guy. But it's called Quasimorph. Go look it up. It's freaking cool as hell, man. And it's cheap. It's cheap. I got it super cheap on a key shop. It's like $16 normally. It's on sale on Steam right now for $16. It is dope though. The weapons, everything, like there is a lot to it. Like there's upgrades. Obviously, there's everything. You can pick up new piece of armor. You loot all the bodies for everybody that you kill. Never know what you're gonna find. Just really dope. There's some physics to it too, where you can shoot barrels, but the explosion can knock you out too, like grenade wise. You got to pay attention to all that stuff. The fire expands and grows out of control. You can have water to put out the fire if you're on fire. You got to have it in your inventory. They've got all these different medical devices depending on what happens. Your body part, you'll see breaks in your bones. You better have a splint, or you got a cut, a deep wound. You better have bandages to close it up. You got to have antibiotics to fix any infections. So it's one of those games. It's hardcore. It is fun as fuck, man. These are the PC games that, again, when I was not on PC, that I would see people playing or hear about, that I was like, damn, I wish those games would kind of come to console, man. Be some really cool games. Now I get to try them out, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty awesome, man. This is why I like this shit, man. So Quasimorph is the name. I better shout that one out, though, because I did play for about 5 hours and had a great time. Completed a couple missions.
Just as you were talking about it, I looked it up, and then what happened was a different game caught my eye. From the same publisher, it's an early access right now called Stone Shard.
Stone Shard, yes. Yes,
it's a turn-based RPG.
It's on my wish list.
Is it? I was about to add it to mine.
Yes, it looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Oh my god, this is the shit I love. So, anyways, just want to throw that one out there. That's freaking awesome. All right. Mav, can you shout out the chat? I gotta go take care of Doggo here real quick. So
yes, sir.
Shout out the chat. We're gonna flip it on its head a little bit. Normally I shout out the chat, but I'm gonna have Mav do it, and I'll be right back, everybody.
Yo, chat, what's going on? Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic day today. While Pong lets the doggos out to go use the bathroom, let's say hello. Shout out to Razor Ultron. We got Blind Mephisto here. Blind Mephisto says metaphors of play anywhere. Definitely getting on Xbox. Yeah, absolutely, man. That the whole Play Anywhere thing, letting you have between PC and console for the same one purchase. Every publisher needs to do that. I absolutely love that, and it's awesome that Metaphor is going that route. Buzz, what's up, Buzz? Doom Reaper, how's it going, Doom? Alvin, what's up, Alvin? Oates, what's up, Oates? We got Steel Rain hanging out. The Beer Baron, Doom. I said hi. Masshole, what's up, Masshole? How's it going? Why so serious? We got Stone King hanging out. We got William Riggs hanging out. Talos Ray, Nate Dogg, what's up? How's it going? Let's see who else we got here. Mackie, what's up, Mackie? Says Creation 2 is one of the very best engines to shine this gen. I think, some people have called it dated and all these other kind of things, but like for me, I think it's crazy impressive what they've accomplished with on that engine. So I kind of agree with you there, although I think that would be a rare opinion. But there is also lots of great engines out there, and Creation Engine is the best engine for Bethesda. That's absolutely for sure, especially on those kind of games. Ninja Squirrel, what's going on? How's it going? Let's see. My beautiful wife Caitlin hanging out in the chat as well. She says just put all the settings on Starfield on easy and it's a breeze. Yeah, she didn't have as much trouble as I did with the space station at the beginning. That's for damn sure. Mitchie dies a lot. How's it going? Web Dave, how are you doing? Brett Bingham says so far so good. No problems with Shattered Space on his Series X. It's awesome. Glad to hear you're not having any issues. Free Bear was hanging out here. Risk It for the Biscuit says I'm playing Age of Mythology 2 and loving it. Dude, like I also love Age of Mythology Retold. I think it's an amazing game. I think they did such a great job bringing that to console, revitalizing the whole game, turning it into something just absolutely awesome, and playing it on either on PC, playing it on console, whatever. I've been console streaming it to my tablet and playing it in controller that way. It's been a great experience playing that game. I streamed it the other day as well, and it's nobody's talking about these games, man. Age Mythology, Aura, these games that are actually coming out that are being received very well, that has a lot of people playing them still. There are still a good amount of people playing them, just not in the typical community that we're all associated with. So they kind of get drowned out by all the other noise and chaos going on in the gaming world. But it seems like because of that, they get no credit for even releasing or even having these games or having been worked on them for years. It doesn't add to the pipeline. It doesn't add to the excitement for people for the Xbox ecosystem, which is kind of strange for me because it's one of my favorite things about it, right? As getting games like this, because this is one of the best places to get games like that. So it's one of the reasons I love Xbox so much. But it's been awesome playing Age of Mythology Retold for sure, bro. Let's see who else we got here. We got BT Maverick hanging out, God Emperor Sofa King, and our brother Psychonauts. How's it going, Psycho? I think we're caught up. I think I got everybody.
Cool. Thank you for doing that.
E-Ranks. Shout out to E-Ranks.
E-Ranks. What's going on? No, appreciate everybody showing up. Shout out to everybody. Risk It earlier said that. Oh, is that what you were talking about? Age? Yeah, I saw him say that earlier, and I was going to bring him up. Yeah, Risk It. Shout out to you for checking out Age, man. Freaking fantastic game. Just so well done, bro. God, it's so good. Anyways, I could sit here all night. We could just do a whole show on those games.
Can we just do a strategy games fest?
Oh my god!
But there's a reason though that people don't talk about them, even if they play them a lot, because it doesn't generate the views, doesn't generate the content, doesn't generate the engagement.
Although if you go into those, the people that do show up to those streams are fully engaged, bro. That's 100%. The thing. Like they are in it. Like that's, it might not bring the biggest audiences, but the people that do show up are like all about it. Like they are getting into it. Like I've watched streamers. Like I watched streamers let the chat completely decide their whole playthrough, like every decision and that kind. It's so much fun. because it's crazy what happens in those games. Those games just never get old. And I think you and I have talked about this plenty of times, Mav. It's because every time it's different.
Yeah.
Like it's what it like, yeah. I mean, single player games, generally speaking, you play through them, and then once you play through them, unless there's a new game plus or something, like that, or like Starfield where they flip a lot of shit on their head or whatever else, there's really no reason to ever go back again, right? Sony's games, there's really not a whole lot of reason unless you're trying to, complete
Those games are kind of like
trophies or
a
whatever.
movie. You watch, you watch the movie, and it's like, do you watch it again right after? No, like you maybe wait like a few years and like, hey, that was a great experience, or that was a great thing. I want to go try it again, and then maybe you could do it again then if you want to, right? But even those for games are more rare because they're so much longer. Right,
they're so much longer than anything, but like these strategy games, man, like even when you think you've got the AI figured out, the next game it can do something completely different.
Yeah,
like it's completely random, and you never know what's going to happen. And again, I really do like the challenge to the mind. I really do like thinking 2 steps ahead.
Those games
what I'm going to do
define what replayability, right? Like it's just infinitely. It's a game. Right, it's not just a story that's being told. It's not just set pieces or cinematics or whatever. It's a they built a game, like you could, with rules and all these other kind of things. It's like,
and you could change the rules. And you can flip. I harken it back. We talked about this originally when we first started talking about strategy games. I harken it back that those of us that like RTSs, I think a lot of it goes back to the days of playing Army Guys. And for our generation, we used to set up our toys. We used to have massive battles. That's what these games are. At least in my mind, that's what I'm thinking about. Now, I don't get to set up the enemies, but I get to set up my troops. And that's what it's like every time things play out differently. Like, again, it's such a good feeling.
For me, I did that with G.I. Joes.
Yes.
And my brother had all the G.I. Joe like stuff. Like he had like a big like, I forget what you call it, but it was like the dome, that like opened up and like the ship, the purple ship came up out of it, right?
Boom. We need Boom.
I know. And then he has the fucking like hovercraft, that like there was so much cool shit. So I inherited being able to play with all of my brother's G.I. Joes, right? And I got lots of new ones too, and like it was, man. And then I have like He-Man versus G.I. Joe versus Transformer battles, and I was always a Transformer guys, and then in the late '80s, early '90s, the Ninja Turtles entered the ring and they kicked everybody's ass.
It's so good, and I'm old enough that I still grew up with Army Guys, the green little plastic dudes and the little plastic dudes, right?
I had a ton
my
of those.
Dad bought me, and I got a picture. My dad's got pictures because he's redoing all the pictures digitally, and I saw it again and it blew me away. 3-foot freaking mountain. Like a mountain where you had a secret base inside, and it was made for the little plastic Army Guys.
Wow.
It was big enough where you could have tanks roll out of tunnels and stuff. It was so cool.
I would used to set those up all around my room and shoot them down with rubber band guns and stuff like that.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh god, it's so good. But that's what RTS remind me of. That's why I love RTS. So. Look at us getting a little nostalgic here on a Thursday night on PM to the PM. Thank you all for entertaining our thoughts on this craziness.
Did you make did you make homemade racetracks out of books?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
with my Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
We used whatever we could, man. Make jumps and shit.
Oh like, yeah. You take a pillow, then you take like your old Sesame Street books or whatever the hell it was. Put it on the pillow and launch those suckers.
You had the real racetrack. We had some of the real Hot Wheels racetracks too. But those things didn't. I mean, again, when you want to launch them, remember you take your 2 fingers and put them on the top of the car. You just freaking launch it and jump. Oh, bro, we had that all outside because of course we.
You launch it into the Army Guys.
Yes, launch into the Army Guys or whatever, man. We used to do so much shit. My Hot Wheels were destroyed. I had so many Hot Wheels. They were.
Did you have the ones with you would hit the side of the door and it would flip to look like it was wrecked?
Of course.
Yep.
I think I still got one or two in one of my boxes of my toys out there that still work. I think so.
I
Yeah,
lost.
for
I
doors.
don't have any of that shit anymore, man.
Oh, I've got so much of it. It's not even funny, man. I think I took pictures years ago during COVID. When I first came into the community, I think I posted them. I got some of my old stompers that work. Do you remember stompers? Like the monster
Stompers.
trucks with the battery operated. They had the big wheel. They had real rubber wheels, but they had battery operated to go forwards, reverse. Some of them had light up headlights. They had you could take off the bodies and put other bodies on
Oh
top of them.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Motorized. They took like a double A, one double A.
Uh-huh.
But they had stomper, like they had monster trucks was a big thing because monster trucks were huge back then. But they had like where they had logs, plastic logs and stuff, and they would roll over the top of them. They like go anywhere. I've actually got a couple that still work.
Yeah,
Like
the biggest,
nuts.
most popular monster truck back then was Bigfoot.
Yep, Bigfoot. I had the electronic
Yeah.
Bigfoot too, with the little levers on top where you could
Yeah.
control what.
No,
it did.
nobody talks about Bigfoot with the monster truck community anymore. It's all Gravedigger. And,
Gravedigger
Yeah.
blew him out of the water, but
Yeah.
Bigfoot was the
Yeah,
Bigfoot was king. I saw Bigfoot a couple times at the Dome.
Yeah.
At the Metrodome when they had him. So yeah, freaking amazing. Oh, can we just go back, Mav? God, man, I'd love to go back. It's so much fun back then, bro. Oh, anyways,
We got a couple
two old
super
guys
chats to
talking.
get to.
Yeah, we do. Drawn TJ. Shout out to Drawn TJ. Thank you, brother. $5 super chat. Thank you. A nice, easy 5 bomb from the Drawn TJ. With Ubisoft being $2 a share, do you think Microsoft should buy them or buy certain IP or buy 50% stake in the company? No. I'll make it quick. We've talked about this, Drawn TJ. It would never pass at all. It would never go through unless everything flips on its head and we get really lax. And that would be the only way, but that would be the United States. The EU would never allow it to go through. Remember, Ubisoft's mainly focused over in the EU. It would never go through over there. Ever, ever, ever. And at least in my personal opinion. Again, uneducated personal opinion, especially with the deal for the cloud gaming. But somebody's got to come in and buy them. I don't care if it's Tencent. I don't care if it's EA. I put this in the DMs. I don't give a fuck anymore. The Gearmill family's got to go. Yves has got to go, and everybody with him. That place is atrocious right now, and maybe Mav and I will touch on it because there is rumors that our worst fears may be coming true behind the scenes. But anyways, Mav, you got any thoughts on Xbox buying Ubisoft?
I don't. My dream scenario for Ubisoft would be that they get an influx of money from someone that's another partner, but somebody that is going to treat the Clancy brand with respect is able to obtain the Clancy brand from them. But I don't know if it's to be Microsoft or what. It could even be like Amazon Games. Like Amazon has a deal with the Clancy for the shows and movies and stuff, right? For me, with them doing publishing and all that kind of stuff, it would be interesting to see them try and tie all that together and actually get the rights to the Clancy games. And maybe along the way, you also release, they acquire a couple of the studios, just a couple of them from Ubisoft, which they have a ton, right? To make those games. And that would be kind of like a dream scenario for me. It doesn't need to be Xbox. I don't care if they're in Game Pass or if they're exclusive or anything like that. It'd be amazing, right? It'd be absolutely amazing. I think Microsoft could do it as well. It would be awesome to see Sam Fisher and Splinter Cell back kind of as a face of Xbox again, which back in the original Xbox it kind of was, right? But yeah, I don't think it has to be them. But I just want the whoever makes those games and whoever has good vision for the IPs and the franchises. I can imagine Amazon doing great things with The Division, with Splinter Cell, because they've done good with the movies and the shows. Like I watched the Without Remorse movie, which is kind of like a prequel to setting up of Team Rainbow, which is absolutely awesome. If you haven't seen Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan on Amazon, it's absolutely awesome. And they've had some other things that they've done too, but overall, the Jack Ryan show is a Clancy property as well. Amazing job that they've done with that. John Krasinski playing Jack Ryan. So yeah, there's definitely stuff that they could do, but ultimately, I don't know. I just lost faith with the Gamma family, but they're just such in shambles there at Ubisoft. I don't know who can really save them because they have too much overhead for the value that they're representing, right? And so whoever is acquiring them or whoever handles the situation is obtaining a massive problem, and nobody would like this, but there's mainly one way to solve that is cut it down dramatically, right? And yeah, they just have so much overhead with so many developers, and they're all lost doing this and that because they can't get any clear direction from the from ownership of Ubisoft and from the leadership at Ubisoft about what they should make and what to make. And that's a shame because you have a lot of people there that are super talented, a lot of people here that do have great vision that are just not really given the proper support to do so. John TJ also with the $2 says if they don't Tencent, will Ubisoft needs help. Yeah. Well, Tencent already owns pretty much half of the Guillermo family because they invested into the Guillermo family's company that owns the shares of Ubisoft. It's pretty much like Tencent is another Guillermo brother. So we can look at that for what it's worth, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I kind of, if you say Ubisoft needs help, really it's the Guillermo family that is the ones kind of behind all this, and I'm just kind of ready for them to not have help anymore, so that way they can be taken out of the equation in one way or another.
Yeah.
Sorry if that sounds insensitive, but I just
again, it's not going to be pretty when it happens, and everybody's got to be ready for that. Again, I've said this many times. One of the main problems of Ubisoft is it's bloated. Okay, and whoever does, if it winds up being sold, which there's a very good chance at some point something like that is going to happen, because I don't think that they have anything to save them from the debacle that they've put themselves into. We just got this week too, Skull and Bones potentially costing over $500 million, which makes sense for how long it was in development. They have nothing to save them from what they've created here. So I think eventually this will happen, but the main thing that will happen, 90% sure, and you don't have to be an expert to understand this, when you see a company like Ubisoft have over 20,000 employees, is that somebody is going to come in and they are going to trim that company down, and it's not going to be good for the people. It's not going to be good for the dev. It's not going to be good for the people in HR, in all the different places that Ubisoft has for that big of a company. All those departments are going to be hit hard, and that is just a fact, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's any way out for Ubisoft right now. I don't. They've put themselves in quite a box here because Assassin's Creed Shadows is not going to save them.
Yeah, they're out of lifelines.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean they've used all their lifeline. The last lifeline they had was doing that deal with Tencent that they did the last time.
Yeah.
When they were already down, like they're down even dramatically more now. But if you look at it, when we're talking about this, 2 years ago or so, and like what a vulnerable position they were already in comparatively to where they were, like in 2019, 2020 and stuff like that. They were had like really good value. They had franchises that were taking off, and Valhalla did great, and it was their first
Valhalla gave them breathing room.
Yeah, it was their first like $1 billion game and stuff like that. And then what happened was they dicked around for 4 or 5 years, right? They just like
screwed up Division 2.
Yeah, they did a lot wrong, and we had streams and rants and talk about this numerous times, criticizing all the moves that were happening behind the scenes. And I even remember I was actually a guest on RDX one day when they were still doing their thing, and I remember that there was an argument happening there because people were defending Ubisoft very, very heated. I mean, there was cross words because how dare you say anything about you, not towards me, but to I think it was targeted towards Fonz, who was criticizing
I
Ubisoft at the
think I
time.
remember that
Yeah, and
episode.
I was just sitting there like, holy shit, like,
I do remember
yeah.
that
So,
episode.
but yeah,
Is
there
that with
was
Shady?
yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, I do
I
remember.
couldn't remember, but
Yeah,
yeah, they were going
yeah.
after each other,
Yes,
and I was like,
I
the
remember it.
loss is cool, and I'm like, man, it's
Oh
like,
my god, I
I mean, it
remember
was
that.
that Zocker and Shady were like pro
Yep,
Ubisoft, and
yep,
like, look, everybody else
yeah.
like, they need to get their shit together.
It's
But
crazy.
we had streams here. I had streams just by myself talking about Ubisoft, and like, get your shit together, because all these things, all those games of service, free to play, Clancy things they kept messing around with all the time, and then there's the whole Skull and Bones thing. There's Beyond Good and Evil 2. There's like just so much going on behind the scenes there. And we had some kind of like a birdie in our ear tell us some things a few years back, Pong, about
Mhm.
how the reasons
Firsthand.
why we don't get certain kinds of games from Ubisoft, and that kind of added fuel to our fire. And it was always like, they're fucking themselves over. And it was like, we love Ubisoft. We love the kinds of games they make. We love the IPs that they have, and we love the talent that's there, because they're super talented. But there's always been a problem with the leadership and the direction, and it comes from the top. And it needs, there's only way to fix that, and it's new leadership, right? And that's what they need desperately, because they've put themselves in this situation. The Guillermo family took that last lifeline, selling half of their own company to Tencent. And now it's like, what's going to happen next, right? I don't think anybody wants to see a Ubisoft that's just purely owned by Tencent, right? Or ran by Tencent either. But is it worse than what's happening now? I don't know. But yeah, my only thing, hopefully somebody comes in, but if they do, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think the most likely scenario is they end up just selling off individual assets or something, Pong, at some point? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a combination of selling off assets and closure. Again, I don't know if somebody brought up in France if the labor laws are different, how much how hard of time somebody would have. But they've got offices everywhere, right? They are worldwide. So, however they do it, there would definitely be a trimming. But yeah, I think somebody would come in and probably sell some of the assets off. Some of the support studios for sure. I think there probably be a market for some of them. I don't know how many, but everybody can use support studios, and Ubisoft for anybody who doesn't know, Ubisoft is so big because they never or very rarely use outside help. Okay, their stuff is all done internally because that's how many support studios they have, and that's the crazy part, right? That's where it comes into play. Like, their overhead is stupid for all of their games, right? It's just because of how many people they do employ. But I think there could certainly be a market for some of them, I would think, just because of the experience and the talent level that has been proven time and time again, no matter what you want to say. So I would hope that would be best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Quebec, Ubisoft Toronto, these like staples, like survive, obviously, right? I mean,
correct,
they've made some of the biggest and greatest franchises in gaming, and they need to continue to be around, but we'll see what happens.
It's gonna be very curious. And I don't know. I think somebody else asked whether or not if the cloud rights do revert back, or if those go with the sale. That I don't think we have those specifics of the cloud rights that Microsoft provided to Ubisoft, of what would happen if that were the case. I'm not even gonna guess. Not even gonna guess what would happen there. Obviously, again, but if Microsoft, that's why I don't think Microsoft would even attempt to buy them, because it would be like starting that shit all over again. So I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
One thing, just while I run Ubisoft, because I always like to add this, because like it's a lot of negativity about Ubisoft, but I will say they're one of the better companies for consumers, and giving consumers basically lots of good features and stuff. Like, they do free updates on their games. They don't do the whole overdo the whole remaster $10 upgrades or any of that kind of stuff. They
Yeah.
This generation, they updated a lot of old games completely for free, right? They allowed also Microsoft to do FPS boost on their games, as well as some publishers elected at the time not to. They do have Ubisoft Plus, which also does the whole if you have it, you can play on PC or on Xbox, right? And you also can do your save progress between the two as well, right? So there's some like pro consumer stuff. Also, they give heavy yeah. Some people look at it as a bad thing, but they do a lot of sales. They will sell their games for willing to sell them for cheaper, as opposed to some that always keeps their price super high just because or whatever. But ultimately, I there's some pros with Ubisoft too, especially on the consumer end. It's just their whole direction of actually getting the damn games out and all of that, and figuring out what to make, and the creative direction, and the decisions that they make about their products is the hugest issue that they've had.
Yeah. Chasing the golden goose too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great, Brett, if they did start divesting, that Microsoft would be in line for some of those. That I'd be all for that. That would work out. Like, again, Red Storm Entertainment, like you said, Tom Clancy IPs. I just don't think whoever buys them will give up the Tom Clancy IP because it is still valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Ubisoft has done everything possible to destroy it, it wouldn't take much to turn it around.
No, it just
And
takes
again,
some
I
good
say
games.
that, saying that, knowing that, yes, I'm spending other people's money, and that, sure, playing armchair CEO is always easy. But I'm telling you, there are certain companies like Ubisoft where if you actually put like me, Bav, or some of us gamers, or some of you in the chat in charge, you guys could make better decisions than have been made over there. Like, legit. Steele and I have had this conversation multiple times. Like, again, if the community ever tried to come together and somebody gave us $500 million to make a game, and we tried to make a game, it would come out like shit. Okay. None of us would get anything done. But I legitimately believe, just like in sports, when you play armchair GM in sports, there are some of us, a lot of us, who would have better track records than some of the higher ups at these companies like EA and Ubisoft about making decisions on specific IP and what to move forward on and the direction of those IP. I don't say that out of ego. I say that out of just common sense. Like, some of these track records and some of these big companies are horrendous. Mm-hmm. And it's the most obvious answers are completely thrown away, and they go for like Skull and Bones. And I want to drag this out, but I saw Nate Dogg bring it up too. Yeah, Nate, I mentioned it. It came out this week that we're talking over $500 million for Skull and Bones. They're saying, some people are saying $700 million, which with time frame makes sense, right? After what we heard of some other games recently, that's certainly plausible. Everybody knows they could have had Skull and Bones out in 3 to 4 years had they just made a multiplayer Black Flag. That's all they fucking had to do. They could have had that game out in 3 to 4 years, and there would have been a huge amount of people waiting to buy that game if they had just made Black Flag multiplayer. That's all they had to do, was take all the ship combat from Black Flag and throw it into a multiplayer package. And I know it's not as easy as what I'm just saying, but compared to what they've done with Skull and Bones, they could have had a profitable game out the gate in 3 to 4 years. Instead, they wasted 500, 600, 700 million, whatever, at the end of the day to put out a game that probably has a low probability of lasting more than a couple years.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Any
one of us who were Black Flag fans could have told them what to do.
Black Flag.
Any of us.
It could have been the name of the franchise, a spinoff.
Could have been.
It
could easily been. They had it. People were clamoring for it, man. The fans were saying, just give us this.
Yeah.
The same way the fans were doing it for Division. And yet they ignored and blew up the fan base. The same way that the fan base has been calling for all the Tom Clancy brands to go back. And they just refuse to do it. And they keep putting out games and they keep flopping.
They did it with
Or they
Watch
keep
Dogs
underperforming.
too. Like, just like they did it with Watch Dogs also, man. It's like they just can't. They had the direction at the beginning that everybody kind of was like, "Oh, this is awesome," but then they like drastically change it. Then they drastically change it even more, and like the last one was rushed out too to meet launch and stuff. But like, just they've been horrible at fostering their IPs. They're big, hugely successful franchises. They have been destroying them. And they have some of the biggest that to their credit, they built, right? They've established them as quality brands and great franchises in the gaming industry. But it seems like for whatever reason, the last decade, they've lost the plot. They started chasing Fortnite. They started chasing, whatever the other trends are instead of realizing we're a trend. That's what Ubisoft failed to recognize. They were filling a void. They had that set. They had the fans that were looking to them for specific kinds of experiences that nobody else was delivering on. And they let all of that go away because they wanted to be like somebody else, or they had one success and they're like, we need to change everything into this because we like a little bit even more money, right? We want even a little bit more. So let's ruin our IP and ruin our brands to be like this other thing. Who cares if it doesn't make sense for the brand? Who cares if it doesn't make sense for the IP? Who cares if it doesn't make sense for the game? It's what makes sense for our board. Well, they're not fucking gamers.
When you're losing money.
Okay? It doesn't. If it makes sense for them, you're talking to the wrong audience. Okay? Like, yes. Look at it and just realize you've abandoned this. And there's still a void. There's a void of these kind of games. Nobody has filled it.
No.
Nobody has filled it. Ubisoft, we want you to be Ubisoft. That's it. That's it.
Before we get off this, Mav, real quick, let's just talk about some of the bad news, because I saw other people talking about Splinter Cell, and obviously you all know, you've been here for any time frame, you know how big of fans of Splinter Cell Mav and I both are. Again, when the announcement was made that they were bringing back Splinter Cell, Mav and I had a 2-hour freaking show, okay? All about Splinter Cell. We took a PM in the PM, right? That was a start of PM in the PM, basically. So we are huge fans. And this Splinter Cell reboot has been in the works. We've broke it down, how they can do it. We've done everything possible to celebrate this news. But as time has gone on, especially this year, and some of the stuff about Ubisoft keeps happening, Star Wars Outlaws, now AC Shadows, etc., Mav and I have brought up the fact that, Splinter Cell, knowing Ubisoft, knowing Yves, and seeing his decision-making, not knowing him personally, but just watching his decision-making and get an idea of how his wackadoodle brain works, right? And his family works. We started worrying about Splinter Cell and the reboot. And sure enough, Game Rant had a story come out. Leaker shares bittersweet news for Splinter Cell fans. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. As we all know, people like to jump on and add news of their own when things are in vogue to be talked about. And obviously, Ubisoft is in vogue right now to pile on again. And so people will jump on just to get attention. So take this with a grain of salt, but this is kind of where Mav and I were already at with this. So I'm going to read this article real quick. It says the Splinter Cell remake has been internally delayed, according to a new report from a well-known insider. However, it's not all bad news for Splinter Cell fans. Ubisoft announced the remake of the first Splinter Cell game in December 2021. Not much has been officially said about the project ever since, with fans still waiting for the company to show any gameplay from the upcoming title. Ubisoft reportedly is working on 2 Splinter Cell projects. An unofficial update on the matter was recently offered by Brazilian journalist Pedro Henrique Ludi Lipe, who claimed that the much-anticipated Splinter Cell remake had been internally delayed, citing sources familiar with the matter. But the insider also shared some good news for fans of the franchise, having said that Ubisoft supposedly is working on another Splinter Cell project, a remaster of Splinter Cell Blacklist. The original plan was for this game to be released in 2024. The company was intending to announce it in July as per the same source. Why did that purported plan did not come to pass is presently unclear. Well, to me, it's not unclear. Okay? To me, it's because, again, they're going to pull back from everything when they're having these types of major issues. As for the Splinter Cell remake, Lipe claimed that the game is not in great shape right now, citing that the reason for its alleged postponement citing that as the reason for its alleged postponement. And while the work on it is said to continue, it is still too early to talk about the potential release windows. The leaker said Lipe's report and Ubisoft's year-long radio silence aren't the only indicators that the project is facing difficulties, not least because Splinter Cell Remake also lost its director back in late 2022. While third-party claims of this sort should always be taken with a dose of skepticism, Lipe does have a decent track record of industry insights, having broken the story of the Switch 2 being delayed to 2025 earlier in this year, in addition to correctly predicting that August 2024 Nintendo Direct. His latest report also saw him remark on the current turmoil at Ubisoft, stating that the company's staffers are presently fearful about any more big-budget games underperforming. The most recent I don't have to go over that. He just goes through the Outlaws problems. So, yeah, Mav, great. Supposedly there's a Splinter Cell Blacklist remake. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Stellar, right?
I do question why that one, though, comparatively to all the other Splinter Cells that they could have actually... And the only answer I can come up with is it's probably the easiest remaster.
I was literally just going to say it's the easiest. Yes. It'd be the easiest remake.
But like for everything, most Splinter Cell fans would want Chaos Theory to be remastered, or remade.
That one would be the easiest, the cheapest, and it wouldn't take much to get it to shine.
Because it still looks and plays great.
It still does. Yes. But this is exactly what we feared, right?
Yeah.
And if any signs of problems, especially after the biggest thing for me and Mav chat was that the Star Wars Outlaws, how much backlash there was against the stealth missions in Star Wars Outlaws. The minute that started happening, Mav and I were like,
shit. Because we know their track record for what they do. Oh, people don't like stealth now. Well, no,
they don't like stealth. See, this is why we never do this. You don't like stealth. We not give you stealth then. Screw it. No Splinter Cell for you. That's what it basically comes down to with Yves. Like, and that I don't know, Matt. What's your thoughts? Any thoughts on the leaker stuff? Do you think it's legit that they're having major issues, or do you think it's not even a massive, or not even a, hey, they're having problems rebooting this? It's that Ubisoft is pulling back the reins a little bit, going, wait, we need to rethink all of our projects.
I'm hope like games being in a disarray behind the scenes is like not anything surprising or new. So like we've heard that about so many different games, internal delays, all that kind of stuff. So on the remake, I'm not going to overreact too much yet because it's something that we haven't heard except for this leak, right? So I will say it's damn time to show the fucking game, right? It's been a couple years since you announced it in a blog post, so let's actually see it revealed or announced at an actual event of some sort, right? That would be nice. Besides that, though, I'm just hoping things go smoothly in the back end. I know that they have been having a lot of issues at Ubisoft, and I'm sure that spreads into the development of this. And but you know, how many games have we heard? Hey, there's trouble behind the scenes with this game, and this game, and then end up coming out and it's like, hey, this is a great game. You know, it happens all the time. Yeah. So, well, I'm holding out hope for that. The curious thing for me was like, hey, it's cool that they're doing a Blacklist remaster. I was just curious about like why that one, and it's also I think it could be because it's just the last one that came out. It's the easiest one to do to try and generate some hype again for the Splinter Cell IP, something that could get out quicker, to just kind of test the water, see how it does, and also kind of get the name out there again, right? So that kind of makes some sense. I would like them to redo the voice for Sam Fisher.
Mhm.
If they do that, he sounds like a young guy in that game. It's not Sam Fisher for me. Like, you don't, even if Michael Ironside can't do it, I understand. Go maybe get Liev Schreiber, who's going to do the voice for the Netflix show.
I thought he did great in that little clip that we got.
Or find somebody that looks like sounds a little bit more like a grizzled older vet spy, not the young guy that did the voice in Blacklist. That would be my number one request. And then add some content to it. Why not? If you're going to remaster it, add a little bit. Try and get some multiplayer stuff kickstarted on there and stuff like that. Would be really cool too. So those are my wish list things for Blacklist if they actually do remaster it. Which sounds like it was it was supposed to have been announced this year, is what they said.
It was supposed to announce this year.
And released next year is what it was said. Or possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Spy versus Merc Doom was something that Mav absolutely loved. I didn't play the multiplayer, so I played a couple rounds. But Mav was all about it. So, and I know a lot of people that loved it.
I played Halo multiplayer and I played Spies versus Mercs.
Yep.
Pretty much it. Right? For like competitive online multiplayer games. Besides sports games. I always did that too. But yeah. The Spies versus Mercs was fucking incredible. Now Ubisoft had shit servers back then. Right? The last time it was relevant, which I will say after Double Agent, Spies versus Mercs just kind of took a shit and wasn't really worth a damn after that. But Double Agent previous, there's 3 games. Pandora Tomorrow, which introduced it. Chaos Theory, which was absolutely fucking awesome and maybe the pinnacle. And then Double Agent. All had great multiplayer. Servers sucked ass. Choppy. This is the time period that we were in at the time, right? So I've just always wanted to play what would be envisioned that mode brought in a new age, like with great servers and all this kind of stuff. Would be crazy, man. It's like taking one of the better tactical first-person shooters and then putting it against one of the best third-person action games and saying, okay, your third-person Spies, your first-person Mercs, who's gonna win? It was just a fucking blast.
Yeah, I wish I would have played it. I think I was playing too much Gears and too much Battlefield back then. And Call of Duty. I didn't.
It predated Gears, man. Like Chaos Theory, like
Chaos Theory did. Yeah, but I'm just saying when that came along, I could say for sure I was heavy in the Battlefield and all that shit back then. So that was my multiplayer. But once Gears came, I was into Gears, and so I just never got into Spies versus Mercs. I don't know why, but it would be dope as hell to see it come back. Even I don't think they're gonna bring it back, but
you weren't an original Xbox gamer as much, right?
Not an OG Xbox gamer.
That's why, because those games were all exclusive to Xbox when they came out originally.
When they first came out,
Yeah.
My buddy had it. That's how I got to play like the single player. Because again, my buddy had it, and so he bring over. That's how I got to play Knights of the Old Republic. That's how I got to first start playing Elder Scrolls. Right, obviously. So that's how it was, just through his Xbox. But yeah.
If it's for like the OG original Xbox gamers that played a lot, and after Xbox Live came out, it was one of the better multiplayer experiences out there on Xbox Live. And then you had Double Agent, which launched on everything, but it also launched on original Xbox and 360. And the versions were different from each other. So some people think differently about the game depending on which version you played, right? I played it on 360. I really enjoyed it. But it's one that kind of a lot of people weren't as into. But after that they did The Conviction, which is an amazing game. Great co-op mode also.
Started up again.
And I'm gonna tell you, Conviction holds up, I think, maybe better than any of them.
Bro, it's still gorgeous.
It's butter. It is great, and it's butter. Like, you play Conviction, I think it holds up amazingly well. Anyway, we've got to stop talking about fucking Ubisoft. We can talk about
but it was a good topic. It was one of the topics this
yeah.
week. I mean, again, there's a lot going on. So, For sure. But yeah, we do have other things to talk about again this week. But yeah, no, Ubisoft, we'll see. They got a bumpy road ahead, and we'll see what comes out. But God, I hope we get at least a Splinter Cell out of this. I hope we
Yeah.
get one. I don't care what it is, to be honest. If it's just a remake, just that's fine. Or a remaster, I don't care. Just bring something back.
Did you play the old any of the old Rainbow Six games?
Yes.
Like the old school ones?
How far? How all the way back where you had to like place the charges on the doors?
Yeah. Like Rainbow, like
yes.
Rainbow Six
yes.
3 and stuff like
Absolutely.
that, right? Okay, so
yeah.
my best way to explain Spices versus Mercs to you is like you're one of the like Rainbow Six characters, the way they control the felt and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or you're Splinter Cell's Sam Fisher spy, right?
Spy. Yep.
And you could snap. You had the whole proximity chat. You could, if you're a spy, and you got him. You could hold the merc behind, and then you could talk shit to him and the mic and snap their necks, right? Or if you're a merc, you could like do the swing around thing if you knew that they're approaching you and knock the spy down on the ground, and you could just look at them and then do whatever the fuck you want.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing, and there's objectives too, and there's great maps and stuff. It was amazing mode, man. Anyway,
I like it. I like it a lot. I can't wait. Well, Mav, next topic you're gonna kind of have to carry because I didn't get to watch the whole thing. But let's get into the main topic. You guys see, Stalker 2 was on the thumbnail. Thanks, Caitlin, by the way. Again, beautiful Miss Caitlin, for the wonderful thumbnail tonight. And that was Mav's idea because I had no ideas today. I was like, man, I literally don't have any ideas. What do you want to do for a main topic? And then the War Game, the Stalker 2 behind the scenes documentary, which is an hour and a half long, came out today. I obviously was at work. I got to watch about 30 minutes of it, maybe 40 minutes of it. I think Mav on and off watched it all day long and did get to watch the whole thing. But obviously I got a really good picture of a lot of what they were going for, and especially the run up, which was really, really interesting. So there is some things I can contribute to this topic as well. But obviously Stalker 2 coming this December it's December, right? I didn't mess that up. They did say December. Yeah, they did say December. Yeah. Stalker 2 coming this December has been a long time coming. This game was supposed to be out, last year? And got delayed again. And obviously, everybody knows the story, right? Obviously, the Russian invasion into Ukraine delayed everything, right? Screwed up that whole staff because that's where they're at. But this documentary, they started shooting it before all that happened.
Yeah.
So the incredible part is you get to see like them in the beginning of this, Mav, have all the happy moments, like, and just be talking about their studio and how great it is to be coming back. And they go through the popularity of the first Stalker and how it became a phenomenon. And again, if you guys weren't around to play Stalker, if you never got into Stalker, you wouldn't know, but especially over there, right? Stalker became this huge phenomenon. We're talking about crowds of people. They got footage of crowds of people waiting to meet some of the developers and stuff. And people playing cosplay over there and all these different spin-offs that happened because of Stalker. And you got to see all of that. You got to see, their thoughts on the creation of GSC and what happened during that time frame and how this all became a thing. And then the comeback as well, when they reformed the studio with part of the original staff. The other part is, of course, the Metro team that had broken off and done their own thing. And the brothers split up, and one brother is still over GSC and the other brother is over the Metro team. And so you got to see all of this. And then you got to see them starting in on Stalker 2 and the passion behind Stalker 2. They talked about, Mav, they went through how they got people to come in to develop for Stalker 2 because they put the word out that Stalker 2 was going to start development. And they got all these super experienced developers who had jobs at other studios to leave those jobs because these people were kids when Stalker came out, and Stalker was a huge influence on them. And they were like, holy shit, I want to go work on Stalker 2. This is like a dream come true. So they automatically rebuilt their studio with really super experienced devs from other studios over there, especially in Europe, because everybody was more than happy to come work on it. So you get to see that, Mav. And then the other cool part is you get to see the devs go into the exclusionary zone. And for anybody who doesn't know what the exclusionary zone is, that is the zone around Chernobyl. It is off limits. It is under patrol by police. It is barbed wired off. This is not some place you technically, they have tourist buses, right? You could take tours to certain areas. But if you want to go see the real shit, you're going in illegally. And a bunch of the devs did, and they filmed it. And it is some of the coolest footage. And I've seen footage from inside Chernobyl before, because I love history and I love all this shit. But it is always fascinating to see more footage come out of it that people shoot, because like they described it in this map, it is a time capsule from 1980s, because everybody left and it's been sitting there. So everything is still original. Like everything. It is like time has not touched it outside of nature, obviously reclaiming tons of it. But like everything was left as it is. It is literally the closest thing we have to any of the games like Fallout or like Stalker, right? These post-apocalyptic games. That's where the inspiration comes from. And walking through this in real life, or not being able to walk through it in real life because I don't live over there, but watching these people do it and seeing the footage, that's like, wow. Every time I see it, I'm still blown away by how much it looks like the movies or the video games that we've grown up with. Like, it's like, dude, this is like real though. Like, this is actually something that happened. It still blows me away. So all of that footage. And then, of course, I watched enough, Mav, to get into the point where the studio starts talking about they're getting ready to release their game. They're getting super excited, like they're getting close. They're really feeling it. Like they go behind the scenes. They show off, all the mocap work that they were doing with the actors and getting everything right, and how everything was really coming together. They showed celebrations in the studio. They talked about how the studio was this close-knit family. Like that people say, oh, businesses talk about being family all the time, but this was truly like family. And then it gets up to the point where there's a threat of Russia invading. And all of a sudden things change. And everybody's under stress and everybody's under pressure. And the one brother and his wife who run the studio decide to make a plan months in advance to be able to get their people out if the invasion happens. The wife actually has, some people weren't worried, some people were worried. The wife, she had that intuition that kicks in and said, yeah, no, we need to be ready. I think this is going to happen. So they come up with this big plan. They don't tell everybody at the studio because they don't want to make everybody nervous, but they come up with a whole plan. They rent buses to sit on site 24/7 with drivers available 24/7 to be able to move everybody. And they have multiple routes planned out in case in case they get to roadblocks and they can't get through. They have multiple paths to get them to the far western border of Ukraine, which is up against, obviously, I can't remember which countries right on the other side. I can't think offhand.
There's Hungary. Hungary is where they were planning to, where they went.
Planning to go, but there was a city right on the border. Why? Because the wife, who is also a head at the studio, she's a director and she controls everything. She's really cool. But she talked about, she's like, I knew that if Russia invaded, Putin would not want to go to war with NATO, so he's not going to fire missiles that close to the border. Like, again, just extremely intelligent thinking here, strategy-wise, just brilliant. But they come up with this whole plan, and then I got to the point, man, where it did happen, and they did execute the plan just like they said. But then it was also the stories, of half the people. 183, I think, was the number that decided to leave, right? And they also had the plan in place to bring families and pets, kids, everybody, like, was included in this plan. Like, the studio with the extra mile for their people. Like this was family. So like 183 devs decided to leave, but like 150 decided to stay behind. For various reasons, right? Most of them to defend the country or to do. Some of them were medics or they were on standby like medics and that kind of stuff. So they felt that they had to stick around, but continue to work on the game. But also, if they needed to go and support the war effort, they would go do that as well. That's pretty much where I left off, was hearing their stories, Mav, and the people leaving and packing on a moment's notice. They got a call one early morning to the studio and said it's time. And then everybody was informed that they had buses ready. And everybody's like, what? And they're like, yeah, just pack what you need. It's time to go. We're busing you over to, I can't remember the name of the city, but we're busing you all the way down there. We're ready to go. Get your stuff and get your family and come. And that's how it happened. And it actually all went according to plan. Like it worked, like exactly how it was supposed to. So that's where I kind of left off, man. So if you want to pick up there or just give some thoughts on initially what I've said, this is, again, goes beyond gaming. We talked about this with Stalker 2 forever. Every time there was a delay or anything else, we were like, whatever. Again, they had Xbox, they had that special showing, Mav, where they did some behind the scenes and talked to the people during the first beginning parts of the war and how bad it was. And you saw, some of their devs' houses bombed and people, some of the family members killed and some of the devs killed too in action. We saw that behind the scenes, which was super powerful. Xbox had that during one of their directs, I believe, Mav, during one of the delays, just to give support to the team. And we always said, however long it takes you, GSC, just whatever. I can't believe you're even getting the game out. Like I'm still watching this too, Mav. Watching the devs say, oh no, we want to continue to work on this game. Like we have like this game means even more to us now. We need to get this game out. Like we want to show the world that even though this is happening to us, we're going to get this game out. Like the pride and the passion and everything involved, the heightened emotions, it's just absolutely incredible. So here we are, man. Stalker 2 is coming out. And it's unbelievable that it's even here. And now you're getting even more behind the scenes where it's like, really? You guys actually did, like, how? I can't imagine putting myself in those shoes. Like, yeah, I'm not thinking about making a fucking video game, bro, when my country's getting invaded. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it's unbelievable. What did you think about this, Mav? And anything more that you saw?
It was crazy. There was a couple of main takeaways. First in the whole opening sequence and actually hearing the wife's name. I believe her name was Maria. And I don't know if I pronounced the husband's name Evan or it's something like that. I apologize if I get the names wrong. It's spelled.
You just know with his Beatles haircut.
Yeah, it's spelled very differently because it's Ukrainian, right? So I'm gonna call them Evan and Maria just for the sake of the conversation, right? So what was the interesting thing originally is that you see this kind of trying to rebuild GSC Game World. Right, pretty much from scratch again. It seems like, right? The brother has a plan. He's like wants to get excitement going for this IP again. He brings people in that saw the posting, like you said, about being excited because they loved Stalker so much that they just had to leave their existing job for the opportunity to work on this. Right? They developed a culture there that was a family-oriented culture, which I appreciate 100%. The thing also was he said that the wife Maria said that originally he had asked me to come in for a few days,
2 or 3 days.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days because for like crisis management and stuff like that. That's kind of like I guess what her background is. I'm not sure. But she comes in there and she's like, and it's years later, I'm still here, right? But you see her kind of take this like almost like this motherhood role over this studio, right?
Studio,
and that's what was my biggest takeaway because like even like the behind the scenes footage of just them interacting with each other, like about different things, like the little games that they may be playing or celebrating or cheering each other's successes and stuff like that, like. It just has that atmosphere, and you hear all these developers talk about like they genuinely actually care, and like her and doing the whole plan and them coming up with the plan to actually put the money up to have buses there just in case the worst case scenario happens and having a plan, but then also not telling anybody because they don't want to scare them, right?
Right.
And then one of the developers that commented that saying that after we found out about this plan, and for me, I was just like blown away. I'm never gonna leave this place
Right.
because they genuinely actually stand behind the words of like, we care about our people. We're a people first studio, right? And I think that comes from the the top, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
really refreshing to actually see that actually take place like this. And despite of all the chaotic stuff that was happening there, their main concern was the people that work for them, right? The
Yes.
people that work for them, and then also
And the
still,
families.
yeah, and their families too,
God.
putting up families, like all this stuff, and then
Yeah.
still finding a way to, hopefully be able to still make this game, and this company only still exists because of what the effort that they put forward. Because it'd have been easy for everybody to give up, move on, and be like, well, we tried, but they tried to persevere and survive through this in multiple ways, right? You had half the studio stay behind. A lot of the people that are stayed behind were still doing development work
Yep.
from their cellars, from their basements, from while they're hiding. Why there was a couple of them that were without power and internet for weeks, and they would sit there and they would try and figure out what to do, and they only could think about making the game.
Right.
And so they would start making the game and drawing, just doing drawings like on paper, right? And that was the way to he could keep developing. They lost after they finally got to their ultimate destination, right, which
Mhm.
was Prague. For the studio that did continue to move. Guess what? All the actors are gone. They don't have a studio. They don't have a mocap studio. They don't have an audio department. They don't have any of this stuff, right? So you're talking about, well, we still had mocap to do. We still had these actors that were all from that area, and guess what? We can't get a hold of them anymore. There's some that are gone. Like they had to recast everybody. They had to recast the entire uh, mocap and voice acting, all that stuff. When they were already getting closer to a finish line at one point with that, they had to scrap all of it and say, "Hey, we have to recast all this stuff with people that are accessible to us." They had to figure all this stuff out, man. While still trying to support all the developers, while still trying to support their families. You had the developers, a lot of them that had decided to leave, right? Talking about the guilt they felt as they were on the buses, right? Leaving,
Yes.
because it's like, why am I the lucky one that gets to move out of this situation of fear? You had people talk about they weren't able to get a hold of their parents after seeing on the news and on the internet the literal building where his parents lived getting raided by people with rocket launchers.
Mhm.
And like you see this footage, you see people watching the buildings that they lived in actually get bombed on air on internet. You have all these crazy stories, man, of all these developers and everything that they went through. Then they finally are able to get to Gamescom 2023. They get enough together, and they've like finally at a good place where they think they can get there. They were able to get to it. They received a lot of positive reception, but there was some bad reception too, right? And I remember hearing a lot of that. There was like, I remember hearing from some in the community that's like,
Yep.
it felt a
Rough.
little rough,
Rough.
So they were like, like, we're trying our best, but like it's just we want to have a complete game. So they delayed it, they delayed, and we're where we are now. I did sense a level of confidence from them, like in that
Mhm.
towards the end of the documentary about where they are with the game, that they're able to get a lot of the stuff that maybe some people had issues with ironed out. I remember at this past, was it Gamescom that they showed up again? There's a
Yep.
lot,
We did.
people were like, hey, this is way better and all this kind of stuff, right?
They
So
had that uncut, basically,
yeah.
playthrough with the devs, right? It was like
Oh
15
yeah, it
minutes
was
or whatever,
fantastic.
uncut. It looked great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked really good.
It's just it's amazing to see that overall, like the arc that this game has had with the development. Even if none of this stuff, other stuff happened, even to take the old IP from, that your brother's studio, kind of, who was the founder then, kind of led and created something, and then he's off doing something else now, and you end up rebuilding and try and create this again, create this momentum, create this hype, you know, to generate a studio which seems like they have their shit together and actual the priorities straight, right? And a clear vision of what they want to create, right? And then to have that interrupted so much, like out of their control completely, where the game shouldn't even. I'm surprised it was able to keep going, right, with everything that happened, and it's still here. It survived. It survived. The developers are still working on it, and yeah, it's like it kind of puts things in perspective. All arguing, all these other kind of things going on, like for different things and stuff, and it's like, man, they're able to produce what they're able to produce, you know, in their environment, the situations that they have. Um, it's just mind blowing. So, highly recommend. Also, the documentary is just really well done. Exceptionally well done. It's like 90 minutes, like watching a movie. Like the early stuff about this Chernobyl and them and all that stuff. They go into like, you know, Soviet rule over Ukraine and they're wanting their independence and all that kind of stuff. And then this whole situation of the influence of Russia over Ukraine and how they're trying to be their own thing, but there's just keeps creeping back in.
Well, and,
you know,
and some of the devs' parents were around Chernobyl and fled Chernobyl, right? They fled Kiev and that kind of stuff when Chernobyl happened, and they give first-hand accounts of what. And we've heard plenty. If you've studied Chernobyl at all, you kind of know Russia back then, especially even more so than now, which is always weird to say. But if you grew up in the 80s, you understand. Like like they kept everything secret, like nothing. Like they didn't tell their people anything about what was going on, and they go through all of that conversation too, some of them with firsthand knowledge of how their parents were being told different stories. Nobody knew what to believe, and all this kind of stuff. So they go through the history of Chernobyl when the accident happened and kind of what was going on during that time too, which is cool. Again, getting those perspectives and getting those stories as well. There's a lot here, man, a lot. It's crazy.
It's a well worth watch. It's covers a lot of game development stuff, covers a lot of the war and the situations going on, how it affected the people personally, and all. Just ultimately, it's like I'm super excited for this game, and I already was, right?
Yeah.
But just seeing this level of like, it kind of puts things into like more of a personal level for you. Like you see this game, and you really get to understand the people that made it, what they're not just the trouble that they went through, but how much the game means to them that they're making, right? And that is kind of a special thing that I think is going to shine through with this game. No matter what, I think it's going to be great quality because it looks awesome, and the feedback from the Gamescom was awesome. But no matter what like condition it's actually in, like you can know this game 100% was made. And what the idea is, we always talk about creative led. We always talk about games like being inspired by the people that are trying to create something unique and original. And this is a special kind of game, especially for that people of that region. It means a lot to them, I think. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing it and get kind of immersed in that world, man. I want to be a stalker. I want to put on a backpack and walk through there and try and survive now, man. Like, it's crazy.
I think there's something for everybody in this documentary. Like I said, the beginning part, going back, and again, I wasn't a big PC gamer. I had buddies who did PC, and that's how I got a lot of my game playing back then on PC, and that's how I played Stalker. To go back and see how big it was, like I said, especially over there. Like, and what kind of phenomenon Stalker was, and that these devs were influenced. Like, they were playing this game as like little kid. This is not a little kid game, by the way, in any way, shape, or form. Like, this is like just not. I'm not even talking about like the adult content and decision. I'm just talking about difficulty level. Like, I don't even know how as a kid you were playing any portion of Stalker because it was a difficult ass game back then. Just to see those moments in time and to hear those moments again, they've got actual footage from back then, was super cool. That stuff. Again, you would never have seen because this was pre internet and social media like that. That this was, again, you got to go way back. So to see some of that stuff, and the home footage and the home video footage and that kind of stuff, just super awesome.
Yeah.
Again, another snapshot in time that, especially in the West, we didn't really hear or see a lot about, but now you get to see it. And again, to see them going through actual in the exclusionary zone, and checking stuff out and seeing some of the stuff that's still there and the artwork that's from the 80s, the Russian propaganda artwork from the it's so cool, man. It's such a trip to see it like that. So there's something for everybody here. So yeah, like Mav said, even though I haven't finished it, I am going to finish it. And you do have to pay a lot of attention. That's why I couldn't finish it at work, because most of it's not in English. Only a couple of them speak a little bit of English, so most of it is reading subtitles, right? It's all Ukrainian. So that was a hard part for me at work, trying to pay attention, but it is worth your time, especially if you have any interest in this game, or just in devs in general, or what they went through to make this game. I highly recommend go watching it. But yeah, man, I can't wait for it. This game is right up my alley. Again, I love the first Stalker.
Yeah.
So to be able to go back, and they talk about in the beginning too, they talk about when they start out, because again, it's before everything was happening. So they're just having a normal documentary where they're talking about how the game's coming together, and they confirmed there that this is an open world. They wanted to give you freedom of choice. They wanted to give the player, and they talked about this more when we last saw it at Gamescom too. It is truly an open world. You can go where you want to. They reward you for exploring. I get this is speaking all my language, okay? They reward you for exploring. You can miss things if you don't explore. You can make choices and never meet NPCs that if you made another choice you would meet. All that kind of stuff. This is totally my game. So I have the utmost confidence that even if it does come with some bugs or some performance issues or whatever the case may be, I'm not the dude who gets affected a lot by those. And in this type of situation, I'm going to be even more forgiving than I normally am. But what I saw from Gamescom and that playthrough with the devs, which was all uncut gameplay footage, I'm super confident that this game is going to come out in great shape. And considering fantastic shape, considering what they've gone through, I think this game is going to come out. I think it's going to score well. I think a lot of people are going to be happy. I think this studio is going to get tons of support from people just that are going to pick up the game simply to support them, which is totally cool with me. Again, I don't care what you think about what happened over there. When you're talking about the real human factor of things, this shows it no matter what. And all of these does. GSC World as a total deserves a ton of support for getting this game out, and I hope it does big numbers, and I think it will across PC and consoles. This is going to be a big moment for this team. I'm so happy for them and their families, and obviously, rest in peace and thoughts to those that were lost during all of this that aren't going to be able to see their game come through. That part is just gut-wrenching and heartbreaking to know that there are some people who started on this team that will not be able to see the creation finished, and that is awful. But their memories will live on through the game for sure.
Yeah, less than an hour ago, also, even BBC had an article about that documentary.
Yeah.
This documentary is kind of making the rounds as far as showing the importance of kind of what happened there, and also what people went through to make this game. So awesome. But they did interviews with some of the people from the documentary as well. So yeah, I check out that article also from the BBC. But yeah, the documentary, you gotta watch it, guys. It's one of the better put together things I've seen as far as a game documentary, game dev documentary, period. And it's not just all about the war stuff. You have a lot of other stuff in there too. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. But yeah,
I can't agree more. So go do check it out if you got the chance, for sure. And can't wait till December. So I'll be there day one.
Yes, sir. Man, out. Another Game Pass day one game too, man.
Another Game Pass. Crazy. I'll probably pick up a copy just because, just to support.
Yeah,
I'm gonna probably pick up a copy. I know Boom's doing a big buy. Of copies too to give away.
Some giveaways, right?
Yeah. Again, studios like that definitely deserve support and just be beyond. They already got paid, but they can get paid from me again. So that's fine. I'll give them another round of funding. Right?
I mean, it kind of helps them too. Like Assassin's Creed got delayed. you know, so like this is a big game. The Stalker 2
the
is.
Avowed got moved.
Yeah. Oh, what other big games are there in November now?
Um,
I was gonna look at the
again.
list. I'm wondering
You've
how. I know.
you've got Call of Duty the end of October, so we know
Right.
that. That's still going to be a thing.
But there's almost a month difference there because I think they're November 20th.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Games releasing in November, which is kind of what it leads us into, like a little bit of what the next conversation.
So you've still got. Let's see. I mean, you've got Dragon Quest HD, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. You've got Microsoft Flight Sim. You got Genshin Impact coming to Xbox. Oh yeah, Stalker 2 is November. I kept saying December, but it's November.
It's November 20th. Yeah.
You lied to me. I asked you if it was November.
I thought. Did I?
I could have swore it was. Yeah,
Oh,
I said. Did they say December? I couldn't remember if that had. It didn't sound right when I said it.
I didn't listen to what you said. Sorry. Yeah, November 20th.
Yeah, November 20th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at November.
So, yeah, no, there's not a whole lot of big ones.
Yeah.
Mario Luigi Brothership over on Switch.
On the 31st of October, you have Dragon Age: The Veilguard. But in November, I mean, you have Flight Sim, which is the 19th. Yep. But that's completely, obviously, different audience for that kind of game. Also, it's not going to interfere with anything with Stalker 2.
No, it's kind of guys on its own.
I'm looking at it. I'm thinking at this time, you know, people have already played Dragon Age. People have been playing Call of Duty for like a month, you know, and it's like ready for another big game to come out. And Stalker 2 might be that big holiday surprise smash hit.
Yeah, because you got 2 more weeks before Indiana, right?
Yeah, so Indiana Jones is the 9th of December.
Yeah.
So, like, they kind of got the sweet spot to themselves as far as big releases because everything else moved.
True story.
Man, it would have been an awesome time for Avowed to release, wouldn't it have?
It sure would have. It's fine. It's great. Don't worry. February next year is totally in the clear.
Don't worry. Do you think there's a potential chance that with the delay, it could have been to give Stalker devs space a little bit?
All the word is that they were moving out of AC Shadow's way.
Right.
So, and not knowing what was going to happen to AC Shadows, right? The lead up, if you were just Xbox and you weren't knowing what was the discourse that was going to happen and the issues that were going to pop up and the problems that Ubisoft were if not knowing that, obviously you would think that AC Shadows is probably going to do Valhalla numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I understood, like, if you're going to say that's the reason, I get it. But my point being is you overthink shit and this is what happens.
No, for sure. Yeah, like we were like, if February is going to be fucking crowded, there's even another delay.
I won't doubt. Yeah, I don't doubt it gets moved back. Oh, that's our best chance it gets moved back to January. So
yeah,
I don't know if we're going to do that.
Shout out to we got a couple super chats real quick.
Okay, grab this.
Earlier, Brandon Martin hit us with the $2. Sorry, it's taking me a while to get to this. Says I had the Bigfoot VHS tape showing all of his shows. Yeah, Bigfoot was so popular when I was a kid. We're not talking for people who weren't here for the conversation before. I'm not talking about the actual Bigfoot.
But did you see the new Bigfoot video?
I did see the new Bigfoot video, but I don't know, man. It looks a little fake to me.
Bro, it's always going to look fake because it's freaking Bigfoot. It's never going to look
It wasn't Bigfoot that looked fake. It was the person holding the camera, the way they acted.
There's new video, by the way, that TMZ picked up. TMZ picked it up. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's the clearest video we've ever had. Everybody asks, why do we ever get clear?
Like,
okay, this is like the clearest shit you could ever get.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, he's like looking at this branch or something and like...
Yeah, he's playing with like a branch and he notices him and looks over.
But the way the guy weird, acted was like, was he acting or like...
Yes.
But like the footage was cool as hell. Regardless,
how would you be if that was you? That's what I always ask. How do you know it's acting? Like, how do you know if that thing turned and looked at you? Knowing the stories that are out there, if you pay attention to Bigfoot, Sasquatch stories, those things aren't nice. Okay, there's violent stories out there of them. Like, I'd probably freak the fuck out, and it would look like I was being over the top too. Like,
that's
shit
true.
My pants.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It's true. And then Angry Hippie with we were talking about the Bigfoot truck though with Brandon's monster trucks back in the day. Yeah, which I remember watching so much of the Bigfoot stuff. I remember going to a show once when I was little. Also, it was awesome. Bigfoot was amazing. Angry Hippie with a $5 super chat says, as a Polish American who knows the history of my home country get invaded by Russia and Germany, this hits home hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I
4th generation Polish Angry Hippie. So, yep.
Watch the documentary, everybody. It's really good. Really good watch.
You say that, Nam. You say that. You say that, sir.
What
UFOs were fake too. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to believe in UFOs.
Bigfoot's
Now all of a sudden they start disclosing and everybody's like, so? What the fuck? I don't get it, bro. I don't understand. Like all these years, like really? Area 51, like come on. And now they actually want to start showing us actual video from fighter jets and everybody's like, yeah, so? What?
For the record, I think it is too unlikely that Bigfoot would be in general just fake, right? But I think Bigfoot is a real thing, right? I think this is going on a tangent because all right, you go back to different cultures around the world, okay? Right. That didn't have any contact with each other, ancient civilizations, right? Talk about people from Nepal, you talk about people from South America, you talk about people in North America, different cultures all had this same creature and they all had mythological things about the same kind of creature, and that's why we have different names for them across different parts of the world. In some parts of the world, it's the Yeti. Some parts of the world, it's Bigfoot, right? Other parts of the world, it's other things. Like you watch these on Sasquatch, or you can watch all these shows and stuff that like we're trying to catch the wild man of blah 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 or whatever, and it's like it's another fucking Bigfoot type creature somewhere in another part of the world. It's just what they call it there, right? And anyway, so you have all these things with all this history, right? All these sightings still. All the same, but slightly different because obviously they evolve more closely of what the environment is and the region that they live, right? But yeah, it's a mysterious thing because we don't have any of them to really look at, right, or see. But there's just too much evidence. There's way too much evidence. There's the footprints that are legitimate, right? Legitimate cast footprints. There's the hairs that have been found that like. All these other kind of stuff.
And the only thing you guys have to know, really, is if you know the story about Nephilim, okay, and the giant people that walked on this planet and that have been covered up, okay, they had bones in museums back in the day of giant human beings. All those bones got removed and it was basically wiped from history books about the findings and about the sites that they found where the giant bones were. Now, there's still some of the stories out there, but of course, those are now in line with Bigfoot and all those kind of things. People say, oh, it can't be proven whether or not it's true or fake. We don't know. There was actual museum that had the bones up. Everybody knows this if you want to dig into it. So, giant people did live here amongst regular sized people, us, for a time frame in recent history. Let's put it that way. So that if you fall in line with that kind of stuff that's been washed, it makes sense. Like Mav said, when you see these stories across the globe of all the same type of creatures, again, we've got star people stories across the globe that from cultures that never met, that had no, well, at least that we know of, that had no contact, right, whatsoever, that all share similar things. When you see that, you got to believe there's some truth to it. Now, what it is exactly, that's where we get into.
Yeah, I just think it's like during the evolution or whatever, there was the different branches of we were humans, and then there was other branches, obviously, that most of them all died off, and that's scientifically proven. There's fossils and stuff at all the museums now. There's little small tiny creatures that were more like humanoids back then too. And
Yep.
you see where all these mythological things came from, and they coexisted at the time of humanity as well. There was also like intermingling between the groups as well. It's just there's other bones that get found in caves to like recent years that are new species of human that are giant as well, right? Like there's just
Peruvian
it's all out there.
aliens. The
Yeah,
Peruvian aliens map. There's new cave footage from a supposed hidden cave. Now, this is some of that shit where you go,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, what are they recording it on? Right? But there is supposedly a family who does know in the deep, deep jungles, rainforest jungles, of a cave system that leads down, and they took footage from inside, and there is supposedly a golden pyramid in there, along with some carvings, and they've got some footage of the carvings that supposedly goes on, and they found bodies. And the bodies have some unique shapes to them. And they've got some footage from there. So, again, it's just fun, man. It's fun.
yeah.
Brett, listen,
I love those
I don't
kind
know
of
how long you've been
things.
around here. Mav and I can go off on a lot of different topics, just like Steele and I do, bro. Like, again, you never know what you're going to get here, man. We get some randomness. It's going to be fun as hell. Again, we've talked about this. Steele and I have talked about this, Mav and I. We could have alternate shows where we talked about this stuff constantly. I'm a conspiracy guy, so I could sit here and do this all night long. I love this stuff, bro. Anyways, it was kind of fun. Getting off topic there. So what were you even talking about? I don't even know what we were talking about.
We just finished talking about the documentary, but like
Yeah,
we're going into the games launching in November to see
Oh yeah.
what
Yeah.
space that
What was
Stalker
around
2
it? Yeah.
had.
And Elvin said he thought it made more sense that they were trying to get out of the way Dragon Age Origin or Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I almost said Origins, Jesus.
Right.
Dragon Age Veilguard. And I understand that thought process, Alvin, but even to me, that those again, I don't think a vouch should ever been moved, but I understand your point. It's just that the word is that it was AC Shadows, because AC Shadows, the only thing I will say is we don't know how Dragon Age is going to do. Right? We don't know what that's going to be like. Like I said, from an Xbox standpoint, if I was put myself in Booty and Phil's shoes and Sarah's shoes, not knowing what was going to happen with AC Shadows, looking at what Valhalla did, right? And saying, okay, well, now they're giving everybody the Assassin's Creed in Japan with Ninja that everybody wanted forever. They're doing that. This is going to be like as big, if not bigger than Valhalla. And that goes across all, the platforms, right? So that's the only reason why I could see them saying that we need to get Avowed out of there, just because of AC Shadows. Plus, it's a time sink. AC games are not small. This is one of the big ones, right? So we're talking about potentially 60, 80, 100 hours, right? Depending on how big it is. It's from the Odyssey team. So we know how big Odyssey was, right? So I'm just saying that one makes most sense. Whereas Dragon Age Veilguard, sure, you can say, well, that's a big IP. It's an RPG. It's a high fantasy RPG. It certainly has the name attached to it. I would just say that one doesn't have a track record that you can look at like Assassin's Creed does. Again, I'm just spitballing here, and I'm just going by what was being said. Was the reasoning for Avowed being moved really was AC Shadows. So, yep. Let me see here.
I mean,
all right,
like in general though, like we have November was pretty open, but it's because everything's coming out. Like you had Flight Sim there. In October we have Dragon Age Veilguard, on the 31st you have Call of Duty. We're about to have Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. We just had Shattered Space. We just had Age of Mythology Retold. We just had RI History Untold.
Yep.
And then we have Indiana Jones in December.
Correct.
I mean,
hell of a month. Hell of a 2 month span.
Hell of a yeah.
Well, then you got Call of Duty. You got Call of Duty at the end of October.
I mean, it's just fucking crazy, right?
And Call of Duty's looking to be the biggest Call of Duty in God knows
in 10 years, maybe
longer.
Yeah. I mean, with the Game Pass now, marketing the Game Pass ad to like it's
record beta
create that conversation.
Record beta engagement, and the majority of beta engagement was positive. Like that rarely happens for Call of Duty too. Like the majority of people out here were happy. Like, okay, what are we talking about here? This could be Massive.
Yeah, Police Not also says Metaphor. Yeah, Metaphor.
Metaphor Refantasio's now people are saying game of the year quality. I said it the other night just from the quick bit I did, a little over out. Bro, I'm telling you, this is good. It's going to be a new Atlas IP. Right now, you got people out here complaining that Xbox has the marketing rights for this fucking game. You can't win if you're Xbox. Again, they've made their mistakes, and Mav and I have been extremely critical of Xbox in a lot of their mistakes. But honest to God, this is why also Mav and I are big believers in the Xbox tax. All you got to do is look at the nonsense that happens. You can't win if you're Xbox.
But why would they do that? Why would they do it, Pong? Why would the Atlas go with Xbox instead of PlayStation?
Again, everybody probably knows who I'm talking. Again, he's huge. Okay, he gets a ton of engagement. He does a lot of shit for engagement. He's an engagement troll too. Again, just because he puts on a nice guy act sometimes, whatever else, and just because everybody knows what these influencers do. Okay, so but for him to say, "Oh, I can't believe how many people didn't even know this was coming to PlayStation. Why would Atlas do this? It's so stupid. Nobody buys JRPGs on X." Are you fucking kidding me right now? Right. So they go do exactly what Sony's been doing for years, what other people say Xbox should be doing for all of these generations, right? Going after the 360 generation where they did this stuff. You say all of this, and then they go do it, and you complain because the marketing works? Right. Because it does exactly what Sony has done, which was create this idea in people's heads that these games weren't on Xbox, that they were PlayStation exclusives. So for once it actually works. It just so happens to be an Atlas new IP JRPG that looks absolutely stunning that people are raving about. And now you're going to complain that that deal was done? Get the fuck out of here. Again, Xbox is in a no-win situation a lot. Again, they make their mistakes. They've made their bed in a lot of ways. But my God, you look at this stuff, Mav, and you go, it wouldn't have mattered what they done. It really wouldn't have. They could have made any decision. They could have kept everything exclusive, started buying marketing rights from everybody, and people would still be out here bitching, saying they're doing it wrong. It's so stupid, man. And then people say there's no Xbox tag. I can't.
Yeah, the whole thing with that is like the question he was trying to ask, I think, was like, I can't remember the guy's name. Was it
who?
The person yeah.
Mighty Keith.
Okay. I'm not really familiar too much.
But there was others that were on that
right. Yeah.
Not
so
to the degree, not to the way he said it though. It was him that got the most flack. But there was other people talking about it.
And the question was like, why would they do that? It's money. So like they have a marketing deal. Obviously, it's money, and maybe just hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, I want to throw this out there. Okay, what do a lot of the Sony marketing deals also have to include at times? You don't think Sony also tries to push into their marketing deals and some of their deals that you can't even fucking release your game on Xbox, right? We've already heard that before. We've heard it from, and they use their position in the market to bully a lot of the studios into making that decision. We've seen it. We've seen this before and actually leaked contracts and conversations. They do shady deals behind the scenes without even marketing, just to keep games from also launching on Xbox, which has been also according to multiple outlets, what happened with Black Myth Wukong. So you're gonna go and criticize Xbox for obviously supporting Sega and Atlas, paying them a lot of money and making the game more available to everybody, which is an awesome thing, instead of Atlas games being exclusive on PlayStation, which is what the marketing deals in the past have probably somewhat included. Now we have this kind of new deal. And well, guess what we get as Xbox gamers? We also get cross-buy. That's it. You know what that is? That's an exclusive value proposition that we have solely on Xbox ecosystem that PlayStation consumers don't get. Love that. Love dual entitlement because it's going to be available in the Xbox store and supports that. That is awesome. That means me, as somebody who plays games on PC and console, doesn't have to make that damn decision of where I'm going to buy the game. I get it in both places. I can play it where I want and how I want. And where I'm not going to complain about that, instead of them potentially taking Sony's money and making it an exclusive, which is what a lot of those deals pertain, or at least timed. No, I'm going to fucking celebrate this game because it looks awesome. The demo, the prologue was amazing, what I've played of it so far. And I played it and I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a Game of the Year contender, right? And it's awesome to see that Xbox actually has marketing rights finally for one of these kind of games that seems like it's set out to be a huge success. Not one of the little bit lesser ones that they've kind of had before. You're talking about Atlus's next big new IP, which the first reviews came out from Famitsu, which many people hold to one of the highest regards in reviews, especially on these kind of games, which was near perfect scores.
Yep.
This game is going to be a massive success for that genre. People on PlayStation are going to know about it, and they're still going to be able to buy the game because it's going to be marketed, and they're going to hear things about it in reviews and all that kind of stuff. They're going to see the people talking about it, right? They're going to see what's metaphor, right? Oh, it's available on PlayStation 2. If you're actually playing on PlayStation, you have a PlayStation, you're going to know about the game. Okay? Like, you're going to find out about it. I'm not worried about those people. But for everybody right now that doesn't know, hey, that's why they do those damn deals. That's why people thought Call of Duty was a fucking exclusive for years. They had early content on Call of Duty on PlayStation, right? They had all these other kind of things for years. A lot of people thought, oh, Call of Duty's on Xbox? It's like, Call of Duty used to be synonymous with Xbox. Remember Xbox being the shooter box?
Yep.
Like, that was one of the reasons why. Because they had the marketing and they had the multiplayer, and people preferred to play those kinds of games on Xbox. PlayStation went out and they got the marketing, they got all that stuff to associate these games with them, right? Destiny, same way, for a long time. It's awesome finally to see a game like this not only not skip Xbox, but actually be associated with it.
Correct.
So if you don't like it, oh well. Obviously, you know it's coming to PlayStation, so it doesn't really matter.
If you're real fans, PlayStation fans, if you're real fans of JRPGs and you're real fans of Atlus, you would know it's coming to PlayStation.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right. That's the thing that's always thrown out at everybody else, right? About Sony's marketing. Oh, if you're a gamer, you know. Oh, okay. Well, then you guys all should know. So I don't know who Mighty Keith's talking to or what he's talking about, but those people obviously aren't paying attention, or they're not real JRPG fans, they're not real Atlus fans. Again, just using the same logic that's used with Sony marketing when people complain about Sony's marketing.
People just love the world where Atlus games skipped Xbox, where you had Square Enix games skip Xbox. You had other franchises from other developers skip Xbox because they're the JRPG box, right? They are the box that is for also the Eastern games. Well, yes, these people aren't liking the fact that now Xbox is actually marketing and has the marketing rights on these games now. It's not just this one; it's Visions of Mana also. Guess who showed up at the TGS? Dragon Quest HD 2D remake as well at Xbox's show. I love it. They had that Threads of Time game at their TGS show, which looked
and that thing's got over
incredible.
100,000 wish listed on Steam already. Threads of Time.
Looks amazing.
100,000 wish listed. Like, they are the developer is absolutely blown away by the reception of Threads of Time. Right. I'm glad you brought up the dual entitlement purchase there, Mav, because also the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters are also dual entitlement as well. So you can buy them on PC and have them on Xbox as well. That's a big benefit that, like you said, man, nobody talks about enough, and that we talk about all the damn time. This is a part of being in the ecosystem of Xbox that people go, oh, what's the benefit? Why own an Xbox? Blah, blah, blah. It's things like this. And I think that you're starting to see these deals with third-party publishers, Mav. There's a couple other ones out there that aren't Game Pass deals, that do have that dual entitlement attached to them. And play anywhere, I should say, I guess is the best way to say it, because that's what it's called. Play anywhere attached to it. I think they're starting to ramp up those deals with new games or new, when they enter agreements with third parties now, they are approaching certain games because, as we've talked about, Mav, going forward into the next gen and what they're trying to do here with this ecosystem, I think that's going to become more and more important so that people, no matter where they buy it, they can get that benefit. And that's going to be a huge push. That's going to be something they can definitely capitalize on and market. Because again, how awesome is that? You buy one copy, you can play it on your console, you can play it on your PC. Like, that's, again, and for like pixel remasters, you can play it on ROG Ally. It's like a perfect game for that. Like, that's going to be a big deal, especially when Xbox gets their handheld out. So, glad you brought that up, Mav. But Metaphor Refantasio is also going to now that this marketing is hitting and people are actually complaining about it, but because the demo is so good, like you said, Mav, it's because of the game that's getting talked about now, and people are starting to praise it. That fan base that Atlas now has built up over on Xbox by putting the Persona games in Game Pass, like we talked about, right, is going to show up for Metaphor. You can already see it in this community. I've already seen so many Xbox people that tried the prologue go, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
It's going to do well on Xbox.
PTK is not even a JRPG dude like that. He never has been. He played it because we all talked it up last week on the shop. Me and Umbra talked the hell up out of the demo. He downloaded it and started playing it. And he said actually the wife downloaded because his wifey likes him. And he took over her game and was playing it nonstop. And now he's saying this might be Game of the Year quality. And he's going to play it. I'm telling you, man, that's what it's about. When you don't have a fan base, like Atlas didn't have a fan base because their games skipped Xbox all the time. As we've talked about with Square Enix, with random game here, 3 not being, and then random game, and then 3 not. When you cultivate a fan base, this is what can happen. This is the benefit. Atlas and Sega are going to reap the benefits of doing that over on Xbox with Metaphor.
And this is, Sega's already had been doing it with Yakuza. They got Atlas on board finally. Now you have Atlas's game actually have marketing rights with Xbox. Then you have the Square is now like they're doing with Square what they did with Sega and Atlas, right? They're incorporating them, bringing the games into the fold, and then guess what? Like they had a new game this year, Visions of Mana, which had marketing rights with Xbox. It's not the biggest game. It's not a brand new big Final Fantasy game, but man, it would surprise me if in the future the next Final Fantasy game actually had marketing rights with Microsoft and Xbox.
Eventually, yes. I definitely think Phil will get that for one of the Final Fantasy games coming out. Yeah. I think that
because they're going to give the money, and it's what we talked about before. Square's going to look at it. Okay, we'll have 2 options. I make my game exclusive on PlayStation because that's what they're offering, right, for their money, or I take this money and bring it to more gamers, and I also still get to release it on PlayStation. Right, what was their last game that was, they said had the last Final Fantasy game that actually met their big expectations was Final Fantasy 15 at launch, right? Well, guess what? That one launched everywhere. Well, Final Fantasy 7 Part 1 also did, right? But that came out at a time when there was like over a crazy shit ton amount of PS4s out there in the wild, right?
Yep.
So ultimately, like, this is launching at a good time. I think this generation with Metaphor, it's launching everywhere, and I think it's going to have a lot of success.
It's going to have a ton of success.
Yep.
I got to throw this in there too, Mav.
Yep.
A little side note. Interesting this week. More news that came out that was a little interesting. I didn't even throw it in our DMs, but to what we're talking about with Square, you know what's really telling, Mav? Is the word from Asobi this week that Square denied them any characters for Astrobot.
Yeah. That was interesting.
That is talking through this, Mav, knowing what we know with Square. They, to me, and again, this is just speculation. This is just on my part, but I don't see any other reason for how close they have been with Sony for so long. why they would ever deny their characters being in what they knew would be a popular title with PlayStation as an exclusive, an Astrobot. To me, this is them distancing themselves from being solely associated with PlayStation.
They
this is
no
them,
longer want to have that like just identity, like we're yours, right?
They want to go create their own identity and not be, because again, what's the idea? Even though they've put their games elsewhere, the idea always still is, oh, they're basically a Sony first party studio, right? That's basically Final Fantasy VII Remake has been considered a first party exclusive to Sony fans forever. They've touted it that way. Again, when everybody brings it up, they're like, yeah, come on, it's Square. Of course, it's PlayStation. Like that. I think Square is stepping all the way back, this new CEO, and saying we got to create our own identity. And that means a true breakup with PlayStation.
No,
We're not going to stop making games for them, but we're not associating that way anymore. We're not going to be that close. We're going to stand on our own out here and let the world know that we're just Square Enix and we are our own company. We're not attached to Sony in any way, shape, or form.
You want to, it's been a massive failure this generation for that relationship. Now they're still going to be friends and release their games on PlayStation,
of course.
But as far as the exclusive partner to us as a third party publisher are going to be releasing several big time AAA games exclusively on your platform. That partnership was a massive failure for Square. It worked for PlayStation with marketing and having exclusives, right? But you look at the games, right? You had Forspoken, you had Babylon's Fall, you had Foam Stars, right? You had some good ones. You had the Final Fantasy games, but they didn't meet Square's expectations for sales, right? You can even go into Ogre Tactics, right? They even did that as an exclusive on. I don't know if that came out on Switch also, but it was on PlayStation. But just not putting your games in all the places is not a great. What we've made the argument for before is not great for your long-term vision for your company or your brands and your IP as a third-party company, right? And especially with the cost of making these games and everything, to exclude yourself to one audience that has not been buying as many games as they have in the past. Also, like it's not a good move, right? So, releasing more places, even if you start off slower on Xbox, because there's less Xboxes out there than there are PlayStations, right? Maybe there is less JRPG gamers on Xbox than there is PlayStation. Why? Because the people that like those games have been buying PlayStations because that's where they were, right? But hey, guess what? A lot of people are going to start playing these games that are there because they're available, and they're getting buzz and they're getting good hype, and that's how you get excitement for the next one and then the next one and then the next one. That's how you grow your brands, right? So, but yeah, it's great to see Atlas do this. And we're gonna see these relationships keep going and going, man.
Well, yeah, and that was the word too. Everybody started reporting on, and Jez had a whole article today on the fact of that Phil and Sarah were doing.
Oh yeah, they were
rounds.
They were out there making the rounds, dude. They were like saw the Koei Tecmo, Sega, Square, Bandai Namco. They're the Capcom. They're out there like, hey, let's make friends with everybody. We're gonna make deals that we're gonna basically try and get marketing rights on all the big Japanese games. It seems like what we're going for. I don't know.
They're gonna continue to try to open doors. The weird thing that happened during this all too, Mav, and I want to get your quick thoughts on this. Again, we don't have to deep dive. It's not that big a deal, but it is a little strange. And we also got word that Microsoft is sending out surveys to all the developers asking them why they're not on Xbox. What year is this, Mav?
Yeah.
This is...
I saw that. I just laughed when I saw it.
I'm like, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, this is fine, but you are like literally, 4, 5, 6 years late doing this, Xbox? Like, why? To me, it's always, again, this is what I want. I want to be a fly on the wall. I don't necessarily like to speculate on some of this stuff because it's like it's just so random, but I really want to know why. Like what triggered this out of the blue in 2024 heading into 2025. Again, we're only a few months away here. That all of a sudden Xbox decides to send out, especially to their Eastern partners or their non-partners, asking why they're not on Xbox after all this time. Man, to me, it's weird. Like it's late. It's fine. It's great. I'm glad you guys are curious. If this is real, if this is something you're taking to heart, like all of a sudden the light bulb went off and you're like, Jesus, let's ask why some of these people refuse to come to Xbox. Like, what are your thoughts,
I honestly think it's. I think they know. Obviously, like they know, but
you would think.
So yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Right.
Right.
But what I'm hoping the point of this is kind of like a way of outreach, right? Another way of outreach to grab as much, start dialogue.
It's a good way to think about it.
If
like where you're going.
If I'm a business and I'm trying to break down some kind of a barrier, right?
Yes.
Even if it looks bad upon me for actually making this, like because I look oblivious and stupid, right? Like
I really do like where you're going.
Just really reaching out and saying, "Hey, why aren't you here?" Yeah, they'll be like, "Well, you just don't. We don't care about putting games up there because you're not relevant in this area or whatever, or this region, or our games maybe haven't sold as well, or whatever the reason is, right? Like whatever the reason is, like starting the conversation with that developer that has chosen to not put the games there can be a positive momentum thing, hopefully, to breaking down that barrier to convince them to start putting their games there. Because if you start the dialogue and start the conversation and actually receive that feedback, at that point, then it's on Xbox and leadership to try and answer that to the developer. Maybe they do some kind of a deal with them, or maybe they blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But starting that kind of dialogue can be a starting point, right? For the people that, and maybe you're doing it more on a massive scale as far as like just sending out this blanket thing in this way, because guess what? Reaching out to all these different smaller developers and teams that have making the decision is like, you're not going to be able to do that like and actually connect with all these people. So doing it this way for the people that respond to it could be an interesting way to start that dialogue to hopefully get them there. That's what I would do. That's the way I would look at it. But it also does come across kind of like oblivious.
But again, I do like your train of thought. And to add on to it, Mav, this could be the first outward sign of the influence from Mina Sato from Sony that they hired last year to help them with their Japanese relationships, right? And she worked for Sony. She worked for she was, I think, a part of their mobile division or something like that. So this could be the first influence for her. Maybe this was her idea to do exactly what you were just talking about, Matt, to open up dialogue, right? Maybe she is saying like, hey, this is an easy way, like, since you as Xbox, an American company, have such a hard time getting into some of these places or to get these people to open up, maybe putting out a survey like this would, like you said, Mav, induce some dialogue. And maybe even for a dev or two, they might actually give reasons that are easily fixed, right? That Xbox could then take initiative on and say, listen, if this is all that's holding you back, then we can erase these roadblocks like real easily, or we can fix this real easily for you. If that's really all that's holding you back, let's talk about this, because we can make that happen. Like, that's not a problem. And you're right, man. I didn't even think about it that way, but and then it just popped in my head when it must have been from Jez's article, I think, that I read earlier too, that could be the first influence from the lady that they hired from PlayStation to help with this. Maybe this was her idea to open that up. So I like it, man. I like it. I went from going, oh my God, really, like, wow.
I'm gonna look at it. Okay, I'm pretending that they're smart, right?
Right. Right.
which
Wait,
maybe
we
they
gotta
are
think
with
about it.
this,
Yeah.
but like it's either they're oblivious or they're smart. One
Yeah.
of the two. I'm hoping
And
they're smart.
angry, yeah, angry. I did have that thought too, right? That potentially this is still that internal conflict going on. And that there is still the Phil side of people trying to tell the higher ups what the hell's happening and what the problem is. And they got to show them a different way. And that so they're going to bring these answers to them and go, look, this is why. This is why we've got to do better here. Like, this is why this is not growing the way we thought it would, is because of X, Y, and Z. Because you guys refuse to give us the resources necessary to go do this over there or in other parts of the world. I thought about that too, Angry Hippie. That could be part of it as well. Brett Brigham said, Punk Soul, it's not for now. It is for developing tools, Gen 10, to make it easier developers to bring games to Xbox. That's also a good point, Brett, is that I do believe that they are thinking about next gen already, obviously, because I think it's sooner than later. And if they are going to do what we think they're going to do, then they've got to believe that they are going to be able to open up even more doors, but they got to be ready for that. And they've got to start the dialogue, like Mav was saying, now with those developers that have been resistant so that they can go, okay, so, and that might be a part of it too. Like, okay, so we see your problems here. Well, listen, right? This is what we are doing down the road that is going to fix that issue or give you more opportunity in our ecosystem that hasn't been there with the way we were doing consoles before. This is why we think we're going to be valuable to you as an ecosystem if you bring your games over here. So yes, you're right, Brett. That could be also behind closed doors kind of dialogue that's happening because of this as well.
I mean, a lot of what I've seen from Xbox, I know a lot of people are calling them being like backing down and like they're leaving the console war and all this other kind of stuff. But I see another level with Xbox that's this really aggressive Xbox, right? And doing those deals, going to all these different shows, making all the trying to improve the relationships across the board with all these companies and all these publishers and stuff. And like they're really been doing a ton of work to try and improve the Xbox ecosystem and the offerings to us for gamers. And even if this seems kind of stupid or redundant or whatever, I like the aggressiveness of actually just reaching out to developers and in whatever way, right, to just try and get more games for us, even if it seems like, hey, we actually know the reason why, but we want all this to ask you. Like it's just for me, it's like a step, even if it's a small one, right? And they've done a lot of big steps, but this is a small one that can help to maybe some more in the future. So, who knows what'll come of it. They got to actually respond to if for any of the developers that respond, I would be ultra aggressive with them, right?
Yes.
Ultra aggressive. Like, this is why I don't do that. Okay, we're going to go and get you to start putting your games on Xbox. That is important, right? Yeah. So, anyway.
No, that was a good conversation. Actually, I didn't think we were going to get like a real conversation out of that but you brought up great points, Mav, that I hadn't thought about, and it does make a lot of sense. I love it.
I think this is a Sarah Bond thing.
And it could be a Sarah Bond thing too,
because her a lot of the reasons we're getting a lot of the games that have been skipping Xbox this generation is because of Sarah Bond and her relationship building with these developers and the deals that she's made.
Oh, yeah, she's done a ton, and now she's got even more on her plate. And I don't know if she's taken a step back. Obviously, she was over there because of TGS, so obviously she's developed a lot of those conversations. But I know that Jez had reported that the Mina lady was also at TGS. Obviously, I mean, again, she's located over there. So again, I just think it all kind of work together. But yeah, I love the ideas and I love the reasons behind it. So I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna look at that as a actual positive, even though it does, like you said, kind of look oblivious. But
yeah.
Anyways, interesting, good conversation though. Let's see here. Yeah, well,
we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, you gotta wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So we will wrap it up, folks. Real quick hitters, just real quick for anybody who wasn't paying attention. Dragon Age Veilguard confirmed that Hans Zimmer and Lauren Balfe are going to be composers for the music. So if anything, the music is going to be absolutely fucking incredible. That's no doubt.
Yes.
IGN is reporting that Avatar: The Last Airbender is getting a AAA action RPG from Saber. Saber, if they pulled this one off on the backs of what they've done with Space Marine 2, holy shit. Whatever they've done over at Saber, whatever talent they brought in, they were always talented. But again, AA level stuff. AAA, if they pull off, and again, I'm not a Last Airbender guy, Avatar guy, so it was past my point. I watched it with my kiddo. It was during him. I just never got connected to it. But that's a huge IP. If they pull this off, hats off to Saber, bro. They're doing some big things. And obviously, Focus Entertainment as a publisher. Wow, Mav. Wow.
Yeah.
Big moves. So I just want to get those two little things out of the way. But let's get the Mav out of here. Oh, everybody, it was a great night. Thank you all for joining us on PM the PM. Chat, you guys were absolutely incredible. Again, adding to the discussion as well, being engaged. Didn't know what we were going to talk about this week, and yet we still pull off a 3-hour show. Sorry, Kate, if we ran over your time. I didn't know if there was a time limit or not tonight. But appreciate you letting me borrow your husband on his channel to do this on a Thursday night while I run it. So thank you, and I apologize. But thank you all for being here. Mav, what do you got going on? Are we back tomorrow night, do you think, for Xbox Ultimate?
Yeah, we'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern though.
Oh, we are going to go an hour early.
Okay. Yes. Right. Okay. I don't know if that's going to cause a problem for you or not, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, we're going to start going at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 Central for XUP and FSP going forward. We'll see how it works out, everybody. But yeah, we are going to have a blast tomorrow night, XUP. And then we'll be back FSP Mondays, and then here PM in the PM. I'm also probably going to stream a little bit this weekend, stream some games. So tune in for that, and hope everybody has an awesome one. What you got going on, Pong?
Nothing much. If I'm there for Xbox Ultimate, I will be there. Otherwise, you guys got to tune in anyways, because the family gets together and has a great time. We missed last week. Mav called it last week because he had stuff going on. But you know how we get down on Friday nights. No matter who's there, it's always a great time. So join us tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Xbox Ultimate, right here on the Fun Speculation Network. And then, of course, Saturday mornings, that dude, another one of my favorite dudes in the whole wide world, Mr. Steel Rain, and I will be live for another episode of Living Split Screen. Split Screen's all one word, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. Buckle up, get ready, because you know him and I are going to get down and talk a lot of nonsense, a lot of games. He's been playing a ton of games too this week, I think, getting down, and we're going to have a lot to talk about on Kill Night. So join us on Saturday morning for Living Split Screen. Set those alarms now, live, raw, and uncut. We'll take you from the morning to the afternoon, or the afternoon to the night, and depending where you are in the world. And then, of course, Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Had a great show last week. It was freaking awesome with the one and only Kay Asante and yeah, Mr. Ego, Infinite Umbra. He had internet problems tonight. Sorry to hear, Umbra. But yeah, we had a great show last week. I love Umbra to death. But join us this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time for another episode of the Shop Podcast, the best way to end your Saturday night. Have us on in the background while you're playing those amazing games. And then, of course, next week it starts all over again. Xbox, right? I just screwed all that up. Jesus, how many times have I done this? Double Barrel Games, the channel. Mr. Boomsticks, the man. Every Tuesday, it is Xbox Factor Podcast. All good things green, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. My week will start right here, hopefully, with this man right here on another episode of PM in the PM next Thursday. Listen, y'all, it's the golden age of gaming. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Have a great night, everybody. Get out there, enjoy it. Matt, get us out of here, brother.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody. Thanks. Peace.